Chapter 3104. It was supposed to be a gathering between Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's families. However, as they ate, Qing Lin, Zi Xian, and Lai Wan took the initiative to come over. When they heard that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's families were coming, they all took the initiative to visit them. It was very lively. They gathered together to drink and eat. During the meal, they naturally chatted about some interesting things. Lai Wan looked at Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, and the others and said to Xiao Chun and Lin Yun with a smile, "Have the two of you heard of the Hidden Dragon List?" Hidden Dragon List? Hearing that, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun shook their heads. Seeing that, Lai Wan said with a smile, "The Hidden Dragon List is a list created by the Emperor Dong's palace to select some talented young people. Seeing that the two of you are still young, you should be able to participate." Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao's age met the requirements of the Hidden Dragon List. Moreover, once they were on the list, it would be a good thing for them, and they would be rewarded by the Emperor Dong's palace. Of course, the reward was not the most important thing. With Xiao Chun and Lin Yun as their parents, these young people did not lack any cultivation resources. Coincidentally, it would be the new Hidden Dragon List Grand Meeting soon. It was organized by the Emperor Dong's palace. In the entire East region, as long as they were below 300 years old, they could sign up to participate. Hearing about the Hidden Dragon List, Xiao Lao was immediately interested. He was competitive. Now that he heard that he could compete with the young geniuses of the East region, he would definitely not want to miss this opportunity. In response, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun did not intend to stop him. They just looked at Lai Wan and said, "That's good. When the time comes, let's see what these young people want. If they want to participate, then they can participate. Haha. It must be very interesting. By the way, the young man from Qing Lin's family also wants to participate." Qing Lin only had one son. However, he was not in the Emperor Dong's palace but had gone out to train. It was said that this son was very talented and had already broken through to the World Lord realm many years ago. There were still a few years before the Hidden Dragon rank would be held. It was neither too long nor too short. After all, with the cultivation of Xiao Chun and the others, a few years would pass in the blink of an eye. Everyone enjoyed the meal, but on the other hand, the search for the mysterious man was still ongoing. Not long after, all kinds of news gathered from all over the eastern region. These matters were handled by specialized people. After the drinking session, Xiao Chun and Qin Shuru stayed at their residence. Although he had joined Emperor Dong's palace, Xiao Chun was still very idle when he had nothing to do. As a king, there was no need for Xiao Chun to deal with trivial matters. During this time, Xiao Chun, Qin Shu, and the other girls also took the opportunity to walk around Emperor Dong's palace. Needless to say, there were many famous secret realms in Emperor Dong's palace, all of which were of extremely high quality. In the outside world, they were enough to become the foundation of a large sect. However, in Emperor Dong's palace, these secret realms had no restrictions at all. As long as you were a member of Emperor Dong's palace or your family, you could use these secret realms at will. Of course, the treatment enjoyed by people of different levels was naturally different. For a king like Xiao Chun, he or his family would definitely enjoy the highest level of treatment. He brought his family to soak comfortably in the spirit spring. This was a good cultivation mystic realm in Emperor Dong's palace. However, Xiao Chun and the others were using it as a hot spring. Taking a bath in the spiritual spring was indeed an extremely extravagant thing. Although the spirit spring was no longer of any substantial help to a war ancestor realm expert like Xiao Chun, it was still able to make people feel comfortable. Phew! Xiao Chun heaved a sigh of relief. Looking at Qin Shuru and the other girls playing around, he smiled slightly. Beside him, Xiao Qing and Bai Ryue also closed their eyes and looked lazy. Xiao Chun enjoyed this kind of life very much. It was rare to have such a relaxing time. Thinking about it, joining Emperor Dong's palace seemed to be a good choice. Everyone knew that during this period of time, they had enjoyed themselves to the fullest. As the overlord of the eastern region, Emperor Dong's palace definitely had the best treatment. The various heavenly treasures were not only dazzling, but also enjoyable. Dad, Big Brother, and I have decided to sign up for the Hidden Dragon ranking. At this moment, Xiao Lao came to Xiao Chen's side and said. Hearing this, Xiao Chun was not surprised at all. Ever since they heard about the hidden dragon ranking, the expressions of these two little guys had already explained everything. They were very interested in the hidden dragon ranking. Of course, Xiao Chun would not reject them if they wanted to participate. How could young people not have a bit of competitiveness? Thinking back to when he was young, he had also competed all the way. Okay. Nodding with a smile, Xiao Chun expressed his agreement. However, according to Lai Wan, Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao's cultivation was not weak. They had both reached the level of World Lord. In a land of infinite stars, the two of them might already be outstanding among the younger generation. However, in the entire eastern region, there were still some people who were stronger than them. Since they were going to participate, they naturally could not be there to serve as a foil. As Xiao Chen's son, how could he fall behind others? After nodding, Xiao Chen reminded them. There are a lot of cultivation resources in Emperor Dong's palace. You have seen it. Cultivate well. Since you are going to participate, don't embarrass your dad. It was said that when the hidden dragon ranking was opened, Emperor Dong would be there personally. So would many kings. Some talented people would even be accepted as disciples on the spot. Xiao Chun was not interested in accepting disciples. However, with so many people watching and knowing that these two guys were his sons, Xiao Chun did not want to be embarrassed by his sons. In response, Xiao Lao immediately said confidently, Don't worry, Dad. Big brother, and I will definitely get you first place. Come on, the top 10 is enough. The family chatted casually. At this moment, Xiao Chun suddenly received a voice transmission from Lin Yan. Emperor Dong had summoned him again. Obviously, there was another mission. After receiving the voice transmission, Xiao Chun got up and looked at Qin Shuru and the other girls helplessly. I have something to do. I have to go first. Okay, be careful on your way. Hearing this, the girls did not say much. They just reminded Xiao Chun to be careful. In response, Xiao Chun nodded and quickly disappeared. Soon, he arrived at Emperor Dong's residence. The main hall of Emperor Dong's palace was like a decoration. At least after joining Emperor Dong's palace, Xiao Chun had never entered the main hall. Whether it was for meetings or for other matters, they were all in Emperor Dong's residence. The main hall was completely useless. Seeing that Lin Yin had been waiting for him, Xiao Chun asked with a smile. What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? It seems that there is news about the mysterious man. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 3105. Mysterious Man? Hearing Lin Yun's words, Xiao Chen nodded, and the two of them walked into the courtyard together. Qing Lin, Zi Xian, Lai Wan, and Dong Wang were already seated in a circle, waiting for Xiao Chun. Qing Lin smiled when she saw him. Brother Xiao Chun. The two of them sat down, and Dong Wang brewed tea himself. These tea leaves were planted by Dong Wang himself, and they were extraordinary. Of course, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had already drunk it countless times. There's news that evil cultivators have appeared in the land of 9 suns, and there's more than one of them. That mysterious man seems to be in the land of 9 suns as well. Dong Wang said calmly as he invited everyone to drink tea. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had never heard of the land of 9 suns, but Qing Lin and the other two frowned. Land of 9 suns? How could it be here? Seeing Qing Lin and the other two's reaction, it was obvious that there was something wrong with the land of 9 suns. Xiao Chun asked curiously, Brother Qing Lin, what's wrong with the land of 9 suns? Brother Xiao Chun, you might not know, but the land of 9 suns is a land of death. Like I said before, this place is not suitable for living. The land of 9 suns has become a land outside the law. The land of 9 suns was like the land of infinite stars. It was separated from the rest of the world by a spatial fault. When Emperor Dong's palace broke the spatial fault in the land of 9 suns, the land of 9 suns did not choose to surrender, but resisted stubbornly. Moreover, many people in the land of 9 suns practiced evil cultivation techniques. Such a land was naturally a source of chaos in the eyes of Emperor Dong's palace. As such, Dong Wang ordered the destruction of the land of 9 suns, and a great war broke out between the two sides. Speaking of the land of 9 suns, because of the evil cultivation techniques, the Land of Nine Suns was indeed powerful. They even had 5 war ancestor realm experts. However, under the full force of Emperor Dong's palace, the final result was obvious. The Land of Nine Suns was destroyed. However, it was also because of that great battle that the entire Land of Nine Suns was shattered into pieces. The power of laws, the origin of heaven and earth, and even the spirit of heaven and earth directly collapsed. The spirit chi of heaven and earth quickly dissipated, and there was basically no one left in the Land of Nine Suns. However, because of this, some people who committed crimes in the eastern region and were wanted by the Donghua Palace first fled to the Land of Nine Suns. Without the laws of heaven and earth, the Land of Nine Suns was equivalent to a piece of chaos. Some of the Emperor Dong's palace's tracking methods were useless in the Land of Nine Suns. If it was not necessary, Emperor Dong's palace would not bother with the Land of Nine Suns. After all, such a place would collapse on its own if left alone. As such, Emperor Dong's palace only sealed the Land of Nine Suns and left it to fend for itself. After hearing Qing Lin's explanation, Xiao Chen nodded. Was it the gathering place of many outlaws and evildoers? Although he was in the eastern region, he seemed to have drifted away from it and had his own set of survival rules. No wonder Qing Lin and the others' expressions became so ugly when they heard about the Land of Nine Suns. Where did those evil techniques come from? Lin Yan asked at this time. This is the answer we have been looking for. In other words, all the evil techniques in the eastern region came from the Land of Nine Suns. Back then, after the spatial fault in the Land of Nine Suns was broken, we learned that such techniques existed in this world. They can help people improve their cultivation quickly, but they can also erode people's minds. After destroying the Land of Nine Suns, Emperor Dong's palace once searched the entire Land of Nine Suns in detail and found all kinds of evil techniques of different grades. In the end, they all destroyed them. Even so, these evil techniques still leaked out, and some of them slipped through the net. Qing Lin said helplessly. At this point, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had a basic understanding. The Land of Nine Suns was like a Pandora's box, and it was the source of evil techniques. It was indeed unexpected. After briefly introducing the Land of Nine Suns, Dong Wang spoke slowly. No matter what, Emperor Dong's palace can't continue to act recklessly. Moreover, I plan to take this opportunity to settle the Land of Nine Suns once and for all. Old man, are you planning to attack the Land of Nine Suns? Originally, in my opinion, although the Land of Nine Suns was a place outside the law, it was also equivalent to a prison. After those sinners escaped into the Land of Nine Suns, no one dared to leave. In fact, it was already effective. However, the Land of Nine Suns is still a danger. It's better to destroy it directly. Dong Wang said calmly. No matter what, the Land of Nine Suns was a threat. Since it was a threat, it naturally had to be eliminated completely. Therefore, the 5 of you will go together this time. You can mobilize all the forces in Emperor Dong's palace. It was obvious that Dong Wang was determined to destroy the Land of Nine Suns completely this time. Sending out 5 kings at once was a lineup that hadn't appeared in a long time. Thinking back, when Emperor Dong's palace attacked the Land of Infinite Stars, they only sent Qing Lin alone. In the end, they only added Zixian. There were only 2 kings, but now they sent out 5 kings. It showed how much importance Emperor Dong's palace placed on the Land of Nine Suns. Looks like the old man is angry. 5 people going together? You're going too far. It's better to be prepared. Go. Waving his hand, he signaled to 5 of them to move. Qing Lin stood up and shook her head helplessly. Then, she turned around and left. Brother Qing Lin, I'll leave the preparation to you. Lin Yun, and I don't know about this. As soon as they left, Xiao Chun looked at Qing Lin and said, he wasn't interested in the preparation before departure at all. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to push the responsibility to Qing Lin. In response, Qing Lin said with a displeased expression, you set me up. It's not really a setup. Capable people do more work. Who asked Brother Qing Lin to be so capable? Xiao Chen didn't mind and laughed. Then, He pulled Lin Yun and left. Qing Lin was speechless when Xiao Chen spoke first. Zixian and Lai Wan were also speechless when they saw Xiao Chen speaking first. They did not give Xiao Chen a chance to speak at all. The two of them left after saying that. Haha, please, Brother Qing Lin. Then, the two of them left. A bunch of disloyal B** starts. Qing Lin scolded angrily. Although she was angry, she still had to do something. These guys had pushed the responsibility to her. Therefore, the preparation before departure naturally fell on Qing Lin. Compared to the land of infinite stars, a day had passed, and Qing Lin had settled everything. A huge palace flew up slowly and landed on top of Emperor Dong's palace. This was a transportation for everyone. At this moment, many experts from Emperor Dong's palace had gathered on top of the palace. There were more than 10,000 people, begging for your collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3106. 10,000 people might not seem like a lot, but even the weakest among them was an Emperor Realm Master. Everyone was already prepared, waiting for Xiao Chen and the others to arrive. Qing Lin, Zixian, and Lai Wan appeared one after another, while Lin Yun and Xiao Chen were the last to appear. As the two stepped into the palace, everyone greeted them respectfully. Greetings, King. Xiao Chen and Lin Yun had just joined Dong's imperial palace, but their status was obvious. They nodded calmly and walked straight into the palace. The entire palace was like an island, with many courtyards, enough for 100,000 people to live in. Dong's imperial palace called it the Star Island, and its function was the same as Space Spirit Ship and Starship. It was used for many people to travel. Whether it was size, luxury, or speed, it was far superior to Starship and Space Spirit Ship. Riding the Star Island was like riding in one's own home, without any bumps at all. With the arrival of Xiao Chen and Lin Yun, the Star Island was activated, and everyone rushed towards the Nine Suns land. There were also cultivators from Dong's imperial palace guarding the periphery of the Nine Suns land, but these people were not official members of Dong's imperial palace. They had always been responsible for guarding the Nine Suns land. Just as Dong's imperial palace was making a big move on a dark continent in the Nine Suns land. This continent seemed to be cursed, as the entire continent was pitch black, without any signs of life. And in the center of the continent, there was a black palace. The palace was ancient and decaying, giving off a strong sense of death. But at this moment, hundreds of people were gathered in this ancient palace, and these people were the leaders of the various forces in the Nine Suns land. As everyone knew, as the famous Nine Suns land in the Eastern Territory, the people living here were basically those who committed crimes outside, or those who could not live anymore. Here, they wanted the simplest environment, and they might fight over a little bit of resources. They were a group of fierce people, and when they gathered together, killing was inevitable. Over time, different gangs formed in the Nine Suns land, and they gathered together to increase the chances of survival. Now that the leaders of the various gangs had gathered together, it was obvious that they were discussing something. In front of everyone, a middle-aged man with a gloomy expression sat on the main seat. The aura on his body was vigorous. Shockingly, he had already reached the level of the War Ancestor realm. If Xiao Chen and Qing Lin were here, they would definitely be able to tell that this man was the mysterious man they were chasing after. Just as the news said, the mysterious man had indeed come to the land of Nine Suns. Furthermore, from the looks of it, it seemed that the leaders of the various large sects in the land of Nine Suns were rather respectful to him. "Ku, why did you summon us here in such a hurry?" Someone couldn't help but ask. Although they were all shocked by Mr. Ku's strength, this group of desperados was definitely not easy to deal with. It was fine to make them fearful, but it wasn't easy to make them submit. Upon hearing this, Mr. Ku smiled. The end of the land of Nine Suns is coming, and so is everyone's end. Once these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present did not change. Quite a few people replied with cold smiles. Mr. Ku's words are too serious. That's right, this joke isn't funny at all. If that's the case, then I'll take my leave. Someone wanted to leave immediately. Seeing this, Mr. Ku did not stop him, and he continued to speak casually. The people from Emperor Dong's palace should have already set off, and they will arrive at the land of 9 suns in a few days. This time, Emperor Dong's palace is determined to destroy the land of 9 suns. In this case, do you still think that this is not the end of the world? Upon hearing this, many people's faces darkened. If this was really the case, then it was indeed the end of the world. They were all wanted by Emperor Dong's palace, and since they were in the land of 9 suns, Emperor Dong's palace could not be bothered with them. As long as they didn't leave, they would be fine. However, if Emperor Dong's palace was determined to destroy the land of 9 suns, would they have a good ending? Some people were stunned, while others naturally remained suspicious and questioned Mr. Ku. How does Mr. Ku know about this? How can you be so sure? That's right, the land of 9 suns is just a prison in the eyes of Emperor Dong's palace, and we are all prisoners in the prison. After so many years, Emperor Dong's palace has no intention of attacking the land of 9 suns. Why would they suddenly change their mind? Mr. Ku said with a faint smile in the face of everyone's doubts. Because of an evil cultivation technique. Evil cultivation technique. These 4 simple words caused everyone's faces to change. They all knew what an evil cultivation technique meant, and they also understood how important it was to Emperor Dong's palace. Looking at the solemn faces of the crowd, Mr. Ku did not hide the truth, and he continued to speak. I have an evil cultivation technique that can allow one's cultivation to increase rapidly, and one can reach the combat ancestor realm. Haven't the leaders of the 3 major gangs been in seclusion for a long time? They have already started cultivating, and I'm afraid they have already reached the divine ancestor realm. Mr. Ku did not hide the fact that he had an evil cultivation technique, and he was the culprit who lured Emperor Dong's palace here. Hearing this, everyone became excited. So it's you. You are the one who lured Emperor Dong's palace here. Damn it, if you have an evil cultivation technique, why didn't you say so earlier? Are you trying to get us killed? Take him down and hand him over to Emperor Dong's palace. This way we can protect ourselves and maybe even offset our previous crimes. That's right. Let's attack together and take him down. For a moment, everyone wanted to take Mr. Ku down, but even in the face of such a situation, Mr. Ku's expression remained unchanged, as if these people were a group of ants that posed no threat to him. However, these people were not weak. There were many ancestor realm and world masters among them, and there were even 1 or 2 ancient era creatures. Moreover, these people's combat strength and combat experience were extremely strong after years of fighting. If they really went all out, it was hard to say that they could win against those in the same realm. Someone was about to attack, but Mr. Ku was 1 step ahead and killed him with a single point of his finger. He was an Emperor Realm Master, but he could not even withstand a single blow from Mr. Ku. After the crowd died, everyone was stunned for a moment before they came to their senses. Mr. Ku was not a kind person. It was not an exaggeration to say that he killed people like flies. When he first entered the land of 9 suns, he destroyed more than 10 gangs in a row, and that was why everyone was afraid of him. What was even more terrifying was that he was a combat ancestor realm master. This kind of cultivation was simply invincible in the land of 9 suns, because there was no combat ancestor realm master in the land of 9 suns. Seeing that everyone was stunned, Mr. Ku smiled slightly and said, "That's right. If you don't have the strength, don't annoy people with your chatter. Begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations." Chapter 3107. Killing a person with a single finger. Mr. Ku had completely shocked everyone present. Seeing this, a faint smile appeared on his face. Seeing that no one dared to make the slightest move, Mr. Ku smiled. "Actually, we are not enemies, and I will not harm you. On the contrary, Emperor Dong's palace is our biggest enemy now," Mr. Ku said calmly. Hearing this, the crowd did not reply, but they did not dare to refute him either. Mr. Ku did not care about what these people were thinking. He did not need them to submit to him sincerely. He only needed them to be obedient. So, what we need to do now is to work together. This evil cultivation method, is our trump card. It can allow you to improve your cultivation at the fastest speed. Many people swallowed their saliva when they heard these words. This fellow actually wanted them to cultivate an evil cultivation technique. Everyone present knew how powerful the evil cultivation method was. It could indeed allow their strength to improve by leaps and bounds in a short period of time. But in addition, everyone was also clear about the drawbacks of this evil cultivation method. It could erode one's mind. Facing Mr. Ku's request, everyone had different expressions. They could not help but feel conflicted. After all, who would be willing to become a monster? Mr. Ku said with a smile as he took in everyone's expressions. Why? Are you not willing? No. No. Hearing this, everyone immediately stammered to explain. They did not want to provoke this malefic. Killing people was as easy as eating and drinking for Mr. Ku. Seeing that everyone shook their heads, Mr. Ku smiled slightly. Then you can stay here and cultivate. I'll personally guide you. As for the Emperor Dong's palace, I have a large formation here that can hold off the Emperor Dong's palace for at least a month. So, how much you can improve in this month will depend on your own abilities. This was considered as forcibly detaining everyone. Those who were unwilling to cultivate the evil cultivation method could only die. Those who cultivated the evil cultivation method had a chance to live. In the next few days, after killing several people in a row, the rest of the people could only choose to bow their heads under Mr. Ku's threat. Speaking of the evil cultivation method, it was actually very easy to cultivate. It did not depend on the cultivator's talent at all. This was also why those who cultivated the evil cultivation method often improved very quickly. Mr. Ku nodded his head in satisfaction when he saw that everyone had given in. Then, he began to set up the array. He came across the matrix by chance. It was left behind by a senior master and was of a very high grade. That was why he was confident that it could stop Emperor Dong's palace for a month. The reason why Mr. Ku let these people practice the evil cultivation method was entirely for himself. He was definitely not so kind as to think about these ants in the land of 9 suns. Time passed by day. Within the Black Palace, after everyone had cultivated the evil skill, their cultivation states had improved by leaps and bounds. Those with low cultivation levels would advance by a small realm every day. Such a terrifying cultivation speed was absolutely enough to make people speechless. Although these people could be said to be different every day, the drawback of the evil cultivation method was not only that it could devour people's minds. Martial artists who practiced evil cultivation methods often had short lifespans. Logically speaking, an Emperor Realm cultivator could easily live for several thousand years, even if they couldn't live for 10,000 years. However, once one cultivated an evil secret art, even if one had the cultivation of an Emperor Realm master, their lifespan would only be 200 or 300 years at most. Their lifespan would be severely overdrawn, which was the second drawback of the evil secret art. For example, many of these people were still quite young. They might have had a lifespan of thousands of years before. But now, after cultivating an evil secret art, it was hard to say how long they could live. As for Mr. Ku, after arranging the spirit array, he began to watch everyone cultivate. He himself had never cultivated an evil secret art before. Outside the land of 9 suns, Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and the others slowly approached and soon arrived at the entrance of the land of 9 suns. There were already many cultivators from Emperor Dong's palace guarding this place. When they saw Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and the others arrive, they all saluted. Brother Xiao Chun, this is the entrance to the land of 9 suns. Laiwan had already gone ahead to scout the situation. Not long after, Laiwan returned and said with an ugly expression, "There's a spirit array blocking the entrance to the land of 9 suns." Laiwan had already tried just now. The entrance was completely blocked by the spirit array, and even with his strength, it was difficult to break it open. Hearing this, Qing Lin and Zi Xian's eyes flashed with coldness, and then they sneered. Putting up a desperate struggle? We're trying to buy some time. Even a spatial fault could not stop Emperor Dong's palace. It could be broken with some time, let alone a mere spirit array. These fellows in the land of 9 suns wanted to use a spirit array to stop Emperor Dong's palace. It was simply wishful thinking. What spirit array in this world could be compared to the spatial fault? I don't think it's that simple. At this time, Xiao Chun said, these cultivators in the land of 9 suns must have known that a spirit array would not be able to stop Emperor Dong's palace. But they still wanted to do so. Was there a purpose behind it? If they only hoped that this spirit array could stop Emperor Dong's palace, then they were too naive. However, would a group of vicious people really be so naive? Xiao Chun did not believe that things would be so simple, and he did not believe that these vicious people would be so naive. Hearing this, Qing Lin nodded and said, indeed, but no matter what they are thinking, the 5 of us came together this time. We can't let them succeed. Let's not talk about anything else. Let's break the spirit array first. Qing Lin was not worried about what these villains in the land of 9 suns were up to. Even if they had any tricks up their sleeves, they could only be suppressed in the face of absolute power. 5 combat ancestor realm kings had arrived at the same time. Not to mention the land of 9 suns, in the entire East region, no one could go against them. Hence, Qing Lin's idea was simple. No matter what these fellows were thinking, she would break it with force. She would not play games with them. She would break the spirit array, suppress them directly, and completely destroy the land of 9 suns. Then, she would find the mysterious person. As soon as she finished speaking, the Star Islands slowly moved out of the spirit array. Looking at the spirit array in front of them, the few of them nodded and sneered. It's a good spirit array, but that's it. Let's attack together. With their eyesight, it was not difficult to see that the spirit array was not a match for them. It could stop them for a while, but it would be broken sooner or later. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, Qing Lin, Zi Xian, and Lai Wan attacked together and started to break the spirit array. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3108. Amir Array would not be able to stop Xiao Chun and the rest. Inside the land of 9 suns, an evil black aura was growing thicker and thicker. It was the aura of an evil cultivation technique. Under Mr. Ku's personal guidance, everyone had already begun to cultivate the evil cultivation technique. In just a few days, their cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Each and every one of them was like a new person. However, as their cultivation deepened, their aura had completely changed. Evil, tyrannical. At this moment, everyone's aura was exactly the same. Looking at the changes in the crowd, Mr. Ku nodded slightly. He was very satisfied. There was still half a month left, and these people could still improve even more. No one knew what Mr. Ku wanted to do, nor did they know where he got the confidence to go against Emperor Dong's imperial palace. Just as the land of 9 suns was eerily quiet, Xiao Chun and the rest finally broke the array after more than a month. Following the sound of a mirror shattering, the formation shattered, and an evil aura instantly surged out from the land of 9 suns. There is indeed a problem. Feeling this aura, Qing Lin said coldly. Everyone was familiar with this aura. It was the aura of an evil martial artist. Moreover, it seemed that there were many evil martial artists in the land of 9 suns. It had been a long time since such a large number of evil martial artists appeared in the eastern region. Let's go and settle this as soon as possible. Hearing Qing Lin's words, Lai Wan said. Then, the group entered the land of 9 suns. Since there were so many evil martial artists gathered, the land of 9 suns must not exist no matter what the reason was. Otherwise, it would be a huge threat to the entire eastern region. Walking into the land of 9 suns, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth quickly dissipated. Moreover, the power of law was fragmented. There was not a single complete power of law. This was the land of death that Qing Lin had mentioned. It was not suitable for any life to live in. However, in the land of 9 suns, there were 9 huge suns in the sky. This was the origin of the land of 9 suns. Once, these 9 huge suns provided the land of 9 suns with endless spiritual chi. However, in that great battle back then, the origin of these 9 suns was directly shattered, and their spiritual power completely dissipated. Now, all that was left was an unbearably high temperature. Even Xiao Chun felt a burning sensation after entering the land of 9 suns. Of course, with Xiao Chen's cultivation, he obviously wouldn't care too much about this. It was just that living in such a place all year round, the conditions were indeed incomparably harsh. This was also the reason why the Emperor Dong's palace did not care about the land of 9 suns. Because the conditions here were harsh, if not for the fact that there was no other way, who would come here and suffer. Moreover, the entire land of 9 suns was definitely a natural prison. Emperor Dong's palace had always thought so. Wouldn't it be easier to gather those guilty people here and let them suffer the test of this harsh environment at all times and let them fend for themselves? If it weren't for the involvement of the evil martial artists and the mysterious man, the Emperor Dong Imperial Palace probably wouldn't have attacked the 9 suns land. Very quiet. Along the way, Zixin frowned slightly. The spirit array was broken, but they had been moving forward for such a long time without encountering any obstacles. Moreover, none of the cultivators in the land of 9 suns appeared. Everything was too quiet, and it was too strange. This was very abnormal. Be careful. Xiao Chen also felt this and reminded everyone to be careful. However, just as everyone's voice fell, many cultivators suddenly appeared from all directions. They were all extremely evil people in the land of 9 suns, and there were many evil martial artists among them. These evil martial artists were the people who had been summoned by Senior Ku to the Dark Palace. They were the leaders of the major gangs in the land of 9 suns. These people were not weak to begin with, and after cultivating the evil secret art, their strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Now, even the weakest person among them had the cultivation of an Emperor Realm Master. The strongest among them had already reached the divine ancestor realm. With a sweep of their eyes, there were at least thousands of evil martial artists. Such a number shocked even Qing Lin and Zixin. The sudden appearance of so many evil martial artists was no small matter. Dong's Imperial Palace had never underestimated the evil martial artists because their growth was too fast, so fast that it was unimaginable for ordinary people. Perhaps this evil martial artist was still an Emperor Realm Master when you met him this time, but the next time you met him, he had already broken through to the ancient spirit realm. It was as if there were no obstacles at all. When the many cultivators of the land of 9 suns appeared, they did not hesitate and directly attacked Xiao Chun and the others. Seeing this, the many masters of Dong's Imperial Palace did not show any weakness and immediately went up to meet them. Xiao Chun and the others naturally did not stay idle. They attacked at the same time, and Qing Lin even shouted coldly, "Don't hold back, kill them all." These cultivators of the land of 9 suns were evil people, and there was no need to show any mercy to them. Moreover, Dong Huang's order this time was not only to find a mysterious person, but also to destroy the entire land of 9 suns. Therefore, these people could be said to be sentenced to death. With Qing Lin's order, the cultivators of Dong's Imperial Palace naturally did not hold back, and every time they attacked, it was a killing move. For ordinary cultivators, it was not much of a pressure. The only thing that was difficult to deal with were the evil martial artists. They were stronger and extremely murderous. Xiao Chun, Qing Lin, Zixin, Lin Yun, and Lai Wan's targets were naturally these evil martial artists. Especially those evil martial artists who had reached the divine ancestor realm. They were the focus of Xiao Chun and the others. Fortunately, there were no war ancestor realm evil martial artists, otherwise it would be difficult to deal with them. Just as he finished off one of them, Lai Wan thought. However, as soon as his voice fell, 3 terrifying auras came from afar. Shockingly, they had already reached the war ancestor realm. These 3 auras were also evil martial artists, but the time they spent cultivating evil techniques was even more miserable. Furthermore, their cultivations were already very high, and now they had already broken through to the war ancestor realm. Feeling the appearance of these 3 evil martial artists, Zixin curled her lips and said, "You really have a crow's mouth. How would I know that there would be so many evil martial artists in the land of nine suns? In this regard, Lai Wan was helpless. Good heavens, even War Ancestor Realm evil martial artist had appeared. What exactly was this land of nine suns hiding? Was it because he had not been here for too long that he did not know the situation in the land of nine suns? Cut the crap, get rid of them first. At this time, Qing Lin said coldly. The three evil martial artists with War Ancestor Realm cultivation could no longer be taken lightly. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 3109. They never thought that the Nine Suns land would be so strong. Not only were there so many evil martial artists, but there were also three who had already cultivated to the War Ancestor Realm. They had somewhat underestimated the Nine Suns land, or rather, the mysterious person's methods. However, because of the importance of the Eastern Sovereign this time, fortunately, they had sent out 5 War Ancestor Realm Kings at once. Otherwise, they might not be a match for these evil people in the Nine Suns land. Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, Qing Lin, the three of them directly faced the 3 War Ancestor Realm evil martial artists, while the others dealt with the others. In a one-on-one situation with 3 War Ancestor Realm powerhouses, Xiao Chun and the other 2 did not gain any advantage. As for Zixian and Lai Wan, it was very easy for them to deal with the other evil martial artists. Not long after, more than 10 evil martial artists were killed by the 2 of them. But even so, the 2 of them did not have the slightest bit of joy, because the mysterious person had yet to appear. Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and Qing Lin naturally knew this. So far, many evil martial artists had appeared, but there was no trace of the mysterious person. Compared to these evil martial artists, the mysterious person was obviously more important because he was the source of everything. This person must have a high-level evil cultivation technique. Only by killing him could they completely eradicate all threats. Otherwise, just killing these evil martial artists in front of them would not have much of an effect. It would only alleviate the urgent situation. And if the mysterious person behind the scenes were to escape, with the evil cultivation technique in his hands, he could produce a group of evil martial artists at any time. Don't underestimate the temptation of the evil cultivation technique. After all, there were many unambitious people in this world. Because of their talent, it was difficult for them to achieve much in their lives. And at this time, if there was a chance to make them stronger or even reach the War Ancestor Realm, very few people would be able to resist it. After all, this was a rare opportunity for many people in their lives. In front of such a huge temptation, for the sake of strength, many people would not care about the backlash of the evil cultivation technique. Perhaps in their eyes, the splendor of a flash in the pan was far more exciting than a lifetime of ordinary people. Furthermore, some people would naively think that with their willpower, they would not be afraid of the backlash of the evil cultivation technique. They would definitely be able to maintain their minds and not be devoured. Little did he know that such an idea was simply a joke. No one could be completely immune to the backlash of an evil cultivation technique, not even War Ancestor Realm rankers as strong as Xiao Chun. At the very most, it would only buy some time and slow down the rate of the backlash. That was all. This was also the reason why, even though Mr. Ku possessed an evil cultivation technique, he had never practiced it. It was precisely because he had an evil cultivation method that he understood how terrifying this evil cultivation method was. Zixian, don't waste any more time. Go and find that mysterious person. The 3 War Ancestor Realm evil warriors were held back by Xiao Chun and the other 2. As for the rest of the small fries, Lai Wan and the warriors of Emperor Dong's palace could handle them. What they were truly worried about was the mysterious person behind the scenes. Therefore, Xiao Chun directly asked Zixian to ignore the battle here and go to find the mysterious man. The most important thing was to find out who the mysterious man was. Nothing else mattered. This time, he must not let him escape. Zixian did not hesitate when she heard this. Her body flashed and she left the battlefield. After which, she rushed towards the depths of the Nine Suns land. At the same time, she spread out her divine thought and quickly shrouded every corner of the Nine Suns land. However, what Xiao Chun and the others did not know was that the mysterious man had been hiding in the dark. Haha, old man, it seems that you can't sit still anymore. You actually sent out 5 kings. Mr. Ku sneered. The old man he was talking about was undoubtedly Dong Wang. No one knew what kind of entanglement he had with Dong Wang or Emperor Dong's palace. But when he said this, the murderous intent in his eyes was extremely strong. He knew that the people of Emperor Dong's palace would definitely come, and his purpose was not to fight with Emperor Dong's palace here. The Nine Suns land is just the beginning. Next, the entire eastern region will be in chaos. I would like to see what you can do, Mr. Ku said coldly. Then, he took out a black gourd from his storage ring. This gourd was not an ordinary item. It was definitely an extremely high-grade treasure. With both hands forming a seal, the black gourd slowly flew up into the air. Then, it spat out black smoke from its mouth. The black smoke was extremely strange. It could suppress a person's spiritual energy, and even their 5 senses. Once enveloped by the black smoke, it was basically equivalent to losing all senses. The black smoke quickly dispersed and then covered more than half of the battlefield. After being eroded by the black smoke, Xiao Chun and the others were the first to realize that something was wrong. First, their senses were directly cut off. Then, it became extremely difficult for them to circulate their spiritual energy. This black fog. Before Xiao Chun and the others could react, the black smoke had already covered the entire battlefield. At the same time, Mr. Ku made his move again. He brought the evil warriors out of the black smoke one by one. Then, he casually threw out a teleportation array. This array could teleport these evil warriors to random places in the eastern region. Looking at these evil warriors who had lost their sanity, Mr. Ku laughed excitedly. Go, and turn the eastern region upside down. As he spoke, the evil cultivators stepped into the teleportation array one after another and soon disappeared. There were still thousands of evil warriors left, including 3 war progenitor realm evil warriors. They escaped from the Nine Suns land. It was obvious what the consequences would be. It would definitely cause a frenzied chaos in the eastern region. After watching these evil warriors leave, Mr. Ku glanced at Xiao Chun and the others who were shrouded in the black smoke with a cold smile. Then, he stepped into the teleportation array and disappeared. Not long after Mr. Ku left, Xiao Chun and the others worked together to disperse the black smoke. However, after looking at the situation, their faces completely darkened. The evil warriors were all gone. Only the evil warriors of the Nine Suns land were left. At this moment, they stood in place with frightened expressions. Damn it, he couldn't help but curse. Where did those evil warriors go? If they escaped from the Nine Suns land, they would be in big trouble. At that time, the entire eastern region would be in chaos. Contact the people outside. Don't let even a fly out, Qing Lin said directly. There were people from the Emperor Dong's palace guarding the entrance of the Nine Suns land. They couldn't let those evil warriors leave the Nine Suns land. Hearing this, Xiao Chun instinctively felt that it was too late. However, he still said, Lin Yun and I will go to the entrance. They alone won't be able to stop those evil warriors. Although he knew that it might be too late, he still had to go there personally. Please add, vote, recommend. Chapter 31:10. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun hurried to the entrance. However, when they arrived, they found out that no one had been there. Hearing this, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun looked at each other, and helplessness flashed in their eyes. The thing they were most worried about had happened. Those evil warriors had never come to the entrance. They must have been prepared. That mysterious man should have escaped. He was almost certain that the mysterious man had taken the opportunity to escape, and that the black fog earlier was most likely his doing. They did not find anything at the entrance. Xiao Chun ordered everyone to continue guarding and not let anyone leave. When they returned to the battlefield, the battle was basically over. Without those evil warriors, the small fries in the land of Nine Suns naturally could not stop the people from Emperor Dong's palace. How was it? Seeing Xiao Chun and Lin Yun return, Qing Lin asked. She already had a bad feeling. However, after hearing Xiao Chen's words, Qing Lin's face could not help but turn gloomy. Did they escape? Who would have thought that they would be able to escape under such circumstances? Not only did they fail to capture the mysterious man, but even those evil warriors had successfully escaped. It could be said that this operation was a complete failure. However, since things had already come to this, there was no point in saying anything more. They had to settle the land of 9 suns first. Destroy it. There's no need for the land of 9 suns to exist anymore. Xiao Chun and the others attacked together. The combat ancestor realm already had the power to destroy a part of the world. Moreover, there were 5 combat ancestor realm experts attacking together. The terrifying attacks continuously tore apart the space of the land of 9 suns. The 9 suns that were the symbol were quickly destroyed. It did not take long for the entire land of 9 suns to be completely destroyed. When they returned to Star Island, Xiao Chun and the others did not feel happy about destroying the land of 9 suns. This was because the real culprit had not been found. Moreover, they did not know where those evil warriors were now. They were still a threat. Looks like we can only ask for the Eye of Heaven. The Eye of Heaven was a treasure of Emperor Dong's palace. It was said that it could see everything in the eastern region and could also find anyone in the eastern region. As soon as she finished speaking, Qing Lin quickly sent the news back to Emperor Dong's palace. After Emperor Dong heard about it, he agreed to use the Sky Eye. Above Emperor Dong's palace, a huge eye appeared slowly and scanned the surroundings. Qing Lin, who was on the Star Island, held a token in her hand. The token emitted a blue light screen, and red light spots began to flash on it. These red dots of light were the current whereabouts of the evil cultivators. Under the scanning of the Heaven's Eye, they were found one by one. So scattered, Qing Lin said helplessly as she looked at the red light spots that were scattered all over the eastern region. From the looks of it, they must have used the power of the teleportation formation to leave the 9 suns land. However, it was indeed a little difficult to deal with them in such a scattered manner. They could only act separately. Most importantly, there was still no news of the mysterious man's whereabouts. Even under the search of the Heaven's Eye, the mysterious person was still perfectly hidden, as if he didn't exist at all. In response, Qing Lin said with a gloomy expression, "This person should have a supreme treasure on him that allowed him to avoid being detected by the Heaven's Eye." The Heaven's Eye could cover the entire eastern region, but it wasn't omnipotent. Some supreme treasures could indeed avoid being detected by the Heaven's Eye. They couldn't find a mysterious man's whereabouts, but they couldn't ignore the evil cultivators. In response, Xiao Chun said directly, "Leave the 3 evil cultivators of the Warlord realm to us. You continue to look for the mysterious man's whereabouts." They couldn't find a mysterious man's whereabouts for a while, but they couldn't let the stalemate continue. Hence, Xiao Chun said. Hearing that, Qing Lin didn't refuse. This was the only way, especially the 3 evil cultivators of the Warlord realm. Xiao Chun and the rest had to deal with them personally. All right, you guys be careful. After finding out the location of the 3 evil cultivators of the Warlord realm from Qing Lin, Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and Lai Wan set off immediately. As for the other evil cultivators, their cultivation wasn't high, so there were other people from Emperor Dong's palace to deal with them. Xiao Chun and the rest hurried over. In one of the realms, one of the evil cultivators of the Warlord realm had already begun to wreak havoc. Even if the many experts in this realm joined forces, they were still no match for him. Damn it, this guy is a Warlord realm expert. Where did this evil cultivator of the Warlord realm come from? Have you contacted Emperor Dong's palace? This isn't something we can handle. I already contacted them. There were no Warlord realm experts in this realm. The strongest was only at the Divine Ancestor realm. But now, even if 3 Divine Ancestor realm experts joined forces, they still couldn't deal with this evil cultivator. Looking at the solemn faces of the crowd, the evil cultivator revealed a bloodthirsty smile. Perhaps he still had a trace of intelligence, but the killing characteristics brought about by the evil cultivation technique made him want to kill uncontrollably. Die, die, die. He kept shouting in a low voice. Hearing that, everyone's face turned gloomy. This was definitely a sudden disaster. Who would have thought that an evil cultivator of the warlord realm cultivation would suddenly appear? In a flash, he attacked. Facing this evil cultivator's attack, although everyone knew that they were no match for him, they didn't give up without a fight. Hold on until the king of Emperor Dong's palace arrives. Then they'll be safe. That was the only thought in everyone's mind. They didn't expect to defeat this evil cultivator, but they just hoped to hold on for a while longer. Unfortunately, although they didn't think much, the difference in strength was too great. In just a few exchanges, one of the Divine Ancestor Realm experts was severely injured, and this evil cultivator didn't miss this great opportunity. He directly attacked the Divine Ancestor Realm expert with a killing move. Looking at the black palm print fiercely attacking him, the Warlord Realm expert was in despair. Was it still too late? In his state, he couldn't block this move at all. However, at the last moment, when everyone was in despair, a voice came out of nowhere. Then, a sword light flashed and collided with the black palm print. Then, both of them slowly dissipated. The king of Emperor Dong's palace? Seeing the person who came, everyone felt like they had survived a disaster. The person who came was Xiao Chun. Since leaving Star Island, Xiao Chun didn't delay at all and rushed here. Looking at the evil cultivator in front of him, Xiao Chun said indifferently when he didn't sense the aura of other people. Only one person? Looks like someone did it on purpose. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 3111. There was only one evil warrior. Obviously, this was all set up by the mysterious man. He knew everything, but he couldn't care less about it now. He had to deal with the evil warrior in front of him first. With the arrival of Xiao Chun, everyone present was secretly relieved. Fortunately, the experts from Emperor Dong's palace had arrived in time. Moreover, judging from Xiao Chun's attire, he was obviously the king of Emperor Dong's palace, a supreme existence of the warlord realm. Greetings, my lord. Everyone cupped their hands and bowed. In response, Xiao Chun only nodded slightly and said calmly, "Step back. These people's cultivation was not bad, but a battle at the warlord realm was still not something they could interfere with." Hearing this, everyone obediently retreated a distance away, leaving Xiao Chun with some space. At the same time, the evil warrior looked at Xiao Chun. At this time, the murderous intent in his eyes had obviously subsided. His remaining rationality told him that the people in front of him were not to be trifled with. It was best not to fight to the death with them. The evil warrior was murderous, but he was definitely not stupid. In other words, this person had not been completely devoured by the evil skill. With a turn, the evil warrior wanted to escape. However, how could Xiao Chun, who was already prepared, let him leave? He took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of the evil warrior, blocking his way. You still want to leave now? If he let the evil warrior leave in front of him, Xiao Chun would be too ashamed to face others. As soon as he finished speaking, he slashed out with the dustless Jian-E sword in his hand. The sword light flashed and bombarded the evil warrior. He let out an angry roar like a wild beast. Obviously, Xiao Chun's attack had caused the evil warrior pain. Violence appeared in his eyes again. The pain had stimulated the evil warrior's ferocity. He threw a punch at Xiao Chun. In response, Xiao Chun also threw a punch. The two fists collided, and both of them took a few steps back at the same time. It was no wonder that the Emperor Dong's palace attached so much importance to evil techniques. Not only could it allow one to achieve a breakthrough in a short period of time, but could also grant one such powerful combat strength. However, Xiao Chun still had absolute confidence in the outcome of the battle. In Xiao Chun's opinion, it would be a pity to kill this evil warrior just like that. It would be best if they could capture him alive. After making up his mind, Xiao Chun unfolded his sword domain and instantly enveloped the evil martial artist. Then, he took a step forward and used Realm Flash. His figure appeared behind the evil cultivator as if he had teleported. The sword ruthlessly struck the back of the evil warrior, and a deep wound appeared. Before the evil warrior could retaliate, Shao Chen's figure disappeared. Within the sword domain, Shao Chun was like a demon that came and went like a ghost, constantly ravaging that evil warrior. He had a body full of strength, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't use it. He could only let out helpless roars. Under such consumption, no matter how strong this evil martial artist's vitality was, he was soon seriously injured. Shao Chen's choice was very correct. He didn't confront this evil martial artist head-on. Instead, he used his advantage perfectly. After a fierce battle, Shao Chun had gained the upper hand. Everyone watching from the sidelines was extremely excited. Was this the king of the Emperor Dong's palace? His strength had improved so much that the evil martial artist of the combat ancestor realm had no power to fight back. Previously, they had joined forces to deal with this evil martial artist, but in the end, they were completely crushed. Now, Shao Chun had made his move, and this evil martial artist had no way to deal with him at all. It was about time. Shao Chun appeared in front of this evil martial artist. Looking at the evil martial artist who was bleeding profusely, Shao Chun didn't show any mercy. He slashed out with his sword, and the sword edge directly slashed across. Facing this sword, this evil martial artist couldn't take it at all. The sword edge cut him in half at the waist. Shao Chun also appeared immediately. This evil martial artist was very strong. He directly controlled his upper body and injected a stream of spiritual power to save his life. In the end, he succeeded in capturing him alive. After doing all this, Shao Chun heaved a sigh of relief. Although he still couldn't find the mysterious person, if he could bring this evil martial artist back, he might be able to find some clues. Under Shao Chun's control, this evil martial artist struggled hard, but he couldn't do anything. Casually holding this evil martial artist's upper body, Shao Chun looked at the crowd in the distance. At this time, the crowd came forward and congratulated him. Your Excellency's strength is unparalleled. We admire you for successfully capturing this evil martial artist. Well, this matter is over. You can deal with the rest yourselves. If another evil martial artist appears, just contact the Emperor Dong's palace. Facing these people's flattery, Shao Chun didn't care at all. After saying this, he directly left. Having joined the Emperor Dong's palace for a while, Shao Chun also knew that as the Emperor Dong's palace, he had a very high status in the eastern region. Basically, no matter where he went, he would be respected by countless people. On the way out, Shao Chun also contacted Qing Lin. I've captured an evil martial artist. I'm bringing him back to the Emperor Dong's palace. Brother Shao Chun, you're really good. You really captured him alive? Yes. Well, then you can go directly to the old man. He should have a way. Qing Lin was extremely shocked that Shao Chun could capture an evil martial artist of the war ancestor realm alive. After all, he had fought with evil martial artists before and knew that capturing them alive was much more difficult than killing them. Well, that's it then. Qing Lin couldn't go back for the time being. He had to deal with some things in the land of Nine Suns. On the way back to the Emperor Dong's palace, many people in the Emperor Dong's palace bowed respectfully when they saw Shao Chun. When they saw that Shao Chun had an evil martial artist with him, they all had a strange expression on their faces. Most of them knew about the land of Nine Suns, but they didn't expect that Shao Chun would capture an evil martial artist alive. Old man, Qing Lin said that you have a way. I brought him here. Like Qing Lin and the others, Shao Chun now called Dong Wang old man. After saying this, he casually threw the evil martial artist on the ground. Dong Wang glanced at him indifferently and said with a smile on his face, "Not bad. With him, things will be easier. I think we can find some clues." Dong Wang was also very satisfied. Seeing this, Shao Chun smiled. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." "Well, go ahead. I'll let you know if there's any news." Soon, he left Dong Wang's place. As for how Dong Wang would find clues from this evil martial artist, that was not something Shao Chun needed to worry about. Anyway, Dong Wang's strength was higher than the war ancestor realm. He should have his own methods. Xiao Chun went straight home. For the time being, he had nothing to do, so he might as well rest at home for 2 days. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of chapter. Chapter 31:12. Seeing that Xiao Chun had returned safely, Qin Shiru and the others were all very happy. Qin Shiru and the other girls were naturally very happy. Every time Xiao Chun fought, Qin Shiru and the others would worry about him. Seeing this, Xiao Chun also smiled. "Don't worry, I'm fine." "So what happened? Do you still want to go?" Flower Fairy asked with concern. This time, Xiao Chun and the others went to the Land of Nine Suns to catch the mysterious person behind the scenes. Now, the girls were naturally concerned about the result. Xiao Chun shook his head and did not try to hide anything from him. He escaped, so it's not over yet. It would not be long before Xiao Chun went out again. There was no other way. Xiao Chun could not rest until the matter was settled. Now, they could only wait for news from Dong Huang. They did not know what Dong Huang could get from the evil warrior. It was rare for Xiao Chun to have some free time, but the others were very busy during this period. Many evil warriors kept appearing in various parts of the eastern region. These evil warriors were not strong, and the strongest was only at the divine ancestor realm. However, these evil warriors, although not strong, were extremely murderous and had no qualms. Their appearance caused panic in the entire eastern region. Emperor Dong's palace, as the ruler of the eastern region, naturally could not turn a blind eye to this. Therefore, many members of Emperor Dong's palace could only go out and kill these evil warriors in various parts of the eastern region. However, this could only solve the problem temporarily. If the evil warrior was not killed, this matter would not be resolved. Even Longqing and Xin Yuanling were sent out by Xiao Chun. Both of them were now at the peak of the ancient era's cultivation, so it was not a problem for them to deal with ordinary evil warriors. After staying at home for 2 days, Dong Huang received news and summoned Xiao Chun to the main palace for a meeting. After joining Emperor Dong's palace for so long, this was the first time Xiao Chun came to the main palace. After all, they usually discussed matters in Dong Huang's residence and rarely came to the main palace. When Xiao Chun walked into the main palace, many people had already arrived. The 11 kings of Emperor Dong's palace were all present. People like Xiao Chun, who were in Emperor Dong's palace, came in person. People like Qing Lin and Lin Yun, who were not in Emperor Dong's palace, came in the form of spiritual projections. With all the kings gathered together, it was clear that Dong Huang attached great importance to this matter. However, with the arrival of Xiao Chun, Qing Lin and Lin Yun said with displeasure, "Brother Xiao Chun, you're having a good time, but we're having a hard time." "Exactly," Xiao Chun smiled and said, not minding his words at all. "You can't blame me, can you?" Everyone was chatting with each other, and the atmosphere was very relaxed. This was also one of the reasons why Xiao Chun liked Emperor Dong's palace. There were many kings in the Emperor Dong's palace. Every one of them was at the combat ancestor realm. If they were in the outside world, they would be able to rule over a region. But in the Emperor Dong's palace, everyone was on good terms. There were no conspiracies, no evil intentions, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Just as everyone was chatting, Dong Huang's figure appeared. Seeing Dong Huang, Qing Lin spoke first. "Old man, how is it? Do you have any clues? If we don't find this guy, we're going to be exhausted." The mysterious man was indeed good at hiding. Until now, there was no trace of him. If they could not find him, they would not be able to relax completely. Moreover, it could be said that everyone had been led by the nose by this mysterious person recently. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Hearing Qing Lin's words, Dong Huang scolded with a smile. "If you continue to talk nonsense, I'll make sure you can't return to Emperor Dong's palace for the rest of your life. I'll make you guard the universe gate. Do you believe me?" Hearing this, Qing Lin was stunned and smiled embarrassedly. "Hee, old man, I'm just kidding. Tell us what you want. We're listening." Even with Dong Huang's appearance, the atmosphere did not become very tense. Seeing this, Dong Huang smiled. Apparently, he was not bothered, or rather, he was already used to it. Looking at everyone, he said slowly, This time, it's all thanks to Xiao Chun. We were able to capture an evil martial artist alive. Now, there's indeed some progress. Dong Wang did not beat around the bush and said directly. Hearing this, everyone secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that there was some progress. As long as they could find the mysterious man, everyone would have a way to deal with him. At that time, they would be able to solve this problem once and for all. Dong Wang used a secret method to search the evil martial artist's memory. Unfortunately, the evil martial artist did not know much about the mysterious man. He only knew that the mysterious man was called Mr. Ku and that he had suddenly appeared. However, other than that, Dong Wang had other means. The evil martial artist had been in contact with the mysterious man before. Therefore, Dong Wang used his own method to establish a vague connection. More than 10 tokens appeared in his hand. These tokens were the key to finding the mysterious man. With the tokens in hand, they could roughly sense the mysterious man's location. This would save them a lot of trouble. At least they could know where the mysterious man was. It was obviously not the first time that everyone had seen Dong Wang's means, except for Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Therefore, after Dong Wang finished speaking, everyone was not surprised at all. Instead, they waited for his next words. This time, all of you will move out. No matter who it is, find a mysterious man. Regardless of whether he is dead or alive, bring him back. It was obvious that Dong Wang did not want to continue wasting time on this matter. A mysterious man of the combat ancestor realm cultivation had caused Emperor Dong's palace to be so exhausted. This made Dong Wang, who had always been indifferent, feel embarrassed. Therefore, this time, he asked all the kings of Emperor Dong's palace to move out together. There was no plan, only one request. They had to find mysterious man and capture him alive. If they could not capture him alive, they would kill him and bring his corpse back. As he spoke, Dong Wang flicked his finger. A token flew in front of everyone's eyes. Xiao Chun held the token in his hand. Suddenly, a mysterious feeling appeared in his heart. Sure enough, there was a force guiding him, as if it was telling him which direction to move in. Old man, do I still have to care about the land of 9 suns? Does the land of 9 suns need a king like you to oversee it personally? Hearing this, Dao Emperor scolded jokingly. The land of 9 suns had been destroyed. As for the trivial guarding work, was there still a need for a king like Qing Lin to oversee it personally? To send someone else to do it? After speaking, Dong Wang's face turned serious. He looked at everyone with a cold glint in his eyes and said coldly, I don't care what method you use. I don't care about the process. Within a month, I want to see Mr. Ku appear in front of me, even if it's a corpse. Go, if we don't solve this problem, Emperor Dong's palace will become a laughingstock. Please add, vote, recommend. Chapter 31:13. Dong Wang said. Such an expression rarely appeared on Dong Wang. It could even be said that since Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and the others had joined Emperor Dong's palace for so long, they had never seen such an expression. There was no doubt that Dong Wang was obviously angry. After all, the entire Emperor Dong's palace felt helpless when they went to capture a person of the war ancestor realm cultivation. It had been such a long time since the appearance of the evil warrior, but no one had even found the shadow of the mysterious person. Not only that, the entire eastern region was in a mess, and evil warriors were popping up everywhere like bamboo shoots after the rain. This made Dong Wang feel really embarrassed. Therefore, after hearing this, Xiao Chun and the others explained and nodded seriously. It seems that the old man is really angry this time. Everyone, it's better not to slack off and solve this matter as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the old man gets angry, it's not a joke. After Dong Wang left, Qing Lin said with a heartless smile. Although the old man seemed to be easy to talk to, once he got angry, he was extremely terrifying. It was just a small matter that would not make the old man angry. However, this time, the old man was obviously a little unhappy. Therefore, he directly sent out all the experts of Emperor Dong's palace, and his only request was to find a mysterious person and bring him back, dead or alive. Hearing Qin Lin's words, Zixian scolded angrily. Then why don't you go quickly? You're the laziest in every mission. I'll take my leave first, everyone. Everyone spoke one after another and quickly left. Since the old man had said so, they naturally would not delay. Xiaochen also quickly left the main hall, but he did not go with the others. Instead, he went home first and told Qin Shi and the others what had happened. Knowing that Xiaochen was going to leave again, Qin Shi and the others knew that they could not stop him, although they were reluctant to part with him. Well, it's urgent, I'll take my leave. Without further ado, Xiaochen left right away after he was done giving his instructions. With the guidance of Dong Huang's token, everything became very simple. Xiaochen only needed to follow the direction of the token. Unlike before, he was no longer like a headless fly bumping around randomly. As for the other evil warriors, Xiaochen and the other kings did not even consider them. This was because these small fries did not know that the kings had taken action. Their target was very simple, and that was the mysterious Mr. Ku. Kill him, and everything will be over. Following the guidance of the token, Xiaochen arrived at an ordinary world. There was nothing special about this world in the Eastern Domain. Now, with the arrival of the kings from Emperor Dong's palace, it was obvious that this place had become the center of a storm in the entire eastern region. The area had been completely sealed off. Many mighty ones from Emperor Dong's palace were guarding the place. No one was allowed to enter or leave, or they would be killed without mercy. Before Xiaochen arrived, other kings had already arrived. Seeing Xiaochen, the guards of Emperor Dong's palace all bowed and greeted him. "Greetings, king." In response, Xiaochen only nodded slightly and then stepped into the world. The token can only give you a rough indication of an area. You'll have to rely on yourself to find it. Although Emperor Dong's token could predict the approximate location of the mysterious Mr. Ku, it could not be too precise. Although he already knew that Mr. Ku was in this world, Xiaochen still had to find out where he was on his own. However, there was an area where it would be much easier to find him. Moreover, Xiaochen was not the only one who had taken action this time. Facing the kings from Emperor Dong's palace, Mr. Ku would not be able to escape even if he was cunning. Xiaochen spread out his divine thought. It was not difficult for an expert of the War Ancestor realm to cover an entire world with his divine thought. Under the coverage of his divine thought, every movement in this world was under Xiaochen's observation. He could clearly feel that he was not the only one who was scanning this world with his divine thought. However, Xiaochen was not unfamiliar with these divine thoughts. They were the divine thoughts of other kings from Emperor Dong's palace. It could be said that an inescapable net had been set. Mr. Ku would not be able to escape even if he had wings. Xiaochen closed his eyes and sensed his surroundings. It didn't take long for him to feel that something was amiss. Xiaochen was able to catch a vague aura in a deep valley. This aura did not belong to any of the kings from Emperor Dong's palace, but it was at the War Ancestor realm. Since it was not one of the kings from Emperor Dong's palace, and it was at the War Ancestor realm, there was only one possibility. It was Mr. Ku. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Found it. Then, Xiaochen moved his feet and disappeared instantly, heading straight for the valley. At the same time, not only Xiaochen, but Lin Yun, Qing Lin, Zixian, Lai Wan, and the others were also heading towards the valley. In an instant, 11 War Ancestor realm experts gathered in a small valley. No, including Mr. Ku, there were already 12 War Ancestor realm experts gathered in this valley. On a mountain peak in the middle of the valley, a man in a black robe was sitting cross-legged. His eyes were slightly closed, as if nothing in the world had anything to do with him. His face was expressionless, and he did not even seem to care about the space cracks that appeared around him. He did not even open his eyes for a moment. This man in a black robe was none other than Mr. Ku, whom Emperor Dong's palace had been looking for a long time. With his cultivation, it was impossible for him not to sense the aura of Xiaochen and the others. He also knew that many kings from Emperor Dong's palace were rushing over. Even so, Mr. Ku did not move at all. It was as if he had given up struggling and was waiting for his death. Sure enough, it did not take long for spatial cracks to appear one after another. Qing Lin and Xiao Chun were the first two to arrive. Qing Lin fixed his gaze on Mr. Ku, who was on the mountain peak, with a faint smile on his face. He chuckled as if he was chatting with a friend. Mr. Ku, it was not easy to find you, but you still found me. Hearing this, Mr. Ku slowly opened his eyes and said without any change in his expression. Seeing that Mr. Ku was so calm, Qing Lin was not angry at all. Instead, he said calmly, "You're so naughty. Do you know that because of you, I have been running around for a long time? How should I thank you? Haha, do whatever you want. I'm the first person in history to be able to get all the kings from Emperor Dong's palace to come." After saying that, Mr. Ku smiled. His colleagues, Lin Yun, Zi Xian, and the others also arrived one after another. For a moment, the entire mountain was surrounded, not giving Mr. Ku the slightest chance to escape. Please add, vote, recommend. Chapter 31:14. Mr. Ku did not panic at all in the face of the kings from Emperor Dong's palace. Even though he knew that he would not be able to escape today, Mr. Ku did not seem to be afraid at all. On the contrary, he gave everyone the feeling that he had already guessed everything and was fully prepared. Looking at him, Xiao Chun said calmly, "I am curious. Are you really not afraid of death? Or do you have some tricks up your sleeve?" It could be seen that Mr. Ku was not afraid of death, and he was not pretending. Mr. Ku said with a smile in response, "Maybe both. Moreover, with such a lineup, do you think I stand a chance? However, before you act, I wonder if you are interested in hearing about me?" Mr. Ku said casually. Seeing this, no one was in a hurry to act. This was because until now, no one knew what Mr. Ku's motive was. Why did he create so many evil martial artists and did not hesitate to turn the entire East region into a mess? No one would believe that he had no motive or motive for doing so. However, all this while, Xiao Chun and the rest had been guessing what Mr. Ku's motive was, but they could not figure it out. Things gradually became clear from Mr. Ku's words. He was originally from the land of 9 suns. When a spatial fault in the land of 9 suns still existed, Mr. Ku and the rest had been living there. Like Xiao Chun and the rest, the land of 9 suns did not know what the East region was at first. However, as the spatial fault was broken, the people from Emperor Dong's palace entered the land of 9 suns. Mr. Ku's father was the strongest person in the land of 9 suns. Facing the arrival of Emperor Dong's palace, Mr. Ku's father did not choose to surrender. In addition, the evil martial arts in the land of 9 suns made Emperor Dong's palace want to destroy the land of 9 suns. Facing the powerful Emperor Dong's palace, the land of 9 suns' outcome was obvious. It was not a match for Emperor Dong's palace at all. It did not even last long before the land of 9 suns fell. However, before he was defeated, Mr. Ku's father used up his last bit of strength. He sent Mr. Ku and the rest out of the land of 9 suns, allowing them to escape. At this point, Mr. Ku was no longer as calm as before. His eyes were filled with anger and hatred as he looked at the crowd. What did my land of 9 suns do wrong to be uprooted by the Emperor Dong's palace? I hate the tyranny of the Emperor Dong's palace. When I saw my companions and friends being killed, I told myself that one day I would definitely come back. When that time comes, it will be the end of Emperor Dong's palace. Even if I have to give up my life, I will not hesitate. No one knew where Mr. Ku had been all these years, nor did they know what he had experienced in order to seek revenge. However, Xiao Chun frowned and said after hearing what Yu Futian said, "You said that you weren't the only one who escaped from the Nanyang land back then." Haha, looks like you're not stupid after all. You understood the meaning behind my words. In response, Mr. Ku laughed heartily and even gave Xiao Chun a look of approval. He had said so much, but Xiao Chun was able to catch this point clearly. It was clear that he had a sharp mind. As soon as Xiao Chun said this, everyone's expression changed. Mr. Ku was not the only one who escaped back then. Did that mean that he had companions? However, all along, everyone had thought that Mr. Ku was alone. As for his companions, they had never seen them. From the beginning, he was alone, to now a group of people. This was unexpected. Moreover, now that Mr. Ku was here alone, he was surrounded. What about the others? Looking at the thoughtful expressions of the challenger-level figures, Mr. Ku seemed to be very relaxed. He said mockingly, "Soon, it should be soon. It's also time for you to experience what we felt back then." No one knew exactly how many people Mr. Ku had with him, and what exactly they wanted to do was also unclear. However, after hearing Mr. Ku's words, Xiao Qian's soul suddenly flashed, as if he had guessed something very serious. He looked at Mr. Ku coldly and said word by word, "They went to Emperor Dong's palace?" A crazy guess flashed through Xiao Qian's mind. Mr. Ku was only here to act as bait. From the beginning, their real goal was Emperor Dong's palace. Now, all the challenger-level figures were gathered here, while the others were hunting and killing evil martial artists all over the eastern region. It could be said that Emperor Dong's palace was at its weakest at this moment, with only Emperor Dong guarding it. It was no exaggeration to say that this was definitely the best opportunity to attack Emperor Dong's palace. However, could Mr. Ku and his men defeat Old Man Dong Wang? Sure enough, after hearing Xiao Qian's words, a challenger-level figure laughed. "Do you really think that Old Man Dong Wang is just a decoration?" Emperor Dong's palace was indeed the center of the eastern region, but it was easier said than done to sneak an attack on Emperor Dong's palace. For so many years, Emperor Dong's palace had never been attacked. Not to mention how much power Mr. Ku had. To contend with Emperor Dong, he would need at least a dozen challenger-level figures. Could Mr. Ku provide them? With Old Man Dong Wang in charge, Emperor Dong's palace would be safe. In this regard, Mr. Ku was not in a hurry, and he still looked indifferent. Seeing this, Xiao Qian instinctively felt that things were not that simple. After scheming for so many years, Mr. Ku was not a brainless person. Moreover, since he dared to bet his life, it was obvious that he was confident, and it was not as simple as it seemed. In other words, this guy had a way to deal with Old Man Dong Wang. Looking at Mr. Ku, Xiao Qian looked at him, and Mr. Ku smiled. "It seems that you have already guessed it." "That's right, since I dared to use myself as bait. How could I not have thought of these things? There are some details that I have not mentioned just now. After escaping from the land of 9 suns, I was not in the eastern region. After so many years, Emperor Dong's palace did not find any trace of us in the eastern region. Aren't you curious about where we went?" As soon as he said this, everyone felt that something was wrong. Mr. Ku slowly glanced at the crowd and smiled unhurriedly. "When we escaped from the land of 9 suns, we knew that we could not stay in the eastern region any longer. After leaving the eastern region, we went around the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. In the end, by chance, we left the Fire Phoenix Galaxy and went to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Moreover, this time, we did not alert anyone and returned to the eastern region without anyone knowing. It was also thanks to the help of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. So, he did not continue, because Qing Lin, Zi Xian, and the others had completely realized that there was someone behind Mr. Ku. Please add, vote, recommend." Chapter 31:15. From the beginning to the end, Mr. Ku had never thought of leaving alive. He had already made up his mind to die. He was only here to lure Xiao, Chun, and the other kings here, so that others could sneak in and attack Emperor Dong's palace. Damn it! Someone cursed and appeared in front of Mr. Ku in a flash. Without hesitation, he slapped Mr. Ku. The horrifying palm print instantly flattened the entire mountain. Mr. Ku did not have any defense and was severely injured. He coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood, but Mr. Ku did not care about it. Instead, he laughed loudly. "Haha, I did not expect that the experts of Emperor Dong's palace would be so flustered. Interesting, very interesting." Mr. Ku was very happy to see everyone's exasperation. This was the result he wanted. These high and mighty experts of Emperor Dong's palace could no longer remain calm in front of him. Mr. Ku's arrogant laughter made the face of the king who attacked earlier turn pale. He was about to attack again, but was stopped by Xiao Chun. "Brother Xiao Chun, why are you stopping me? Calm down. Even if you kill him now, what can you do?" Although the atmosphere was tense, it did not solve the problem. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, the king's face darkened, but he knew that Xiao Chun was right. Let's send a group of people back first. Leave 2 people behind to capture this guy alive and bring him back to Emperor Dong's palace. Since they knew Mr. Ku's plan, they had to go back to help. After all, this matter involved the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Who knew what they had up their sleeves? If it was just Mr. Ku and the others, they were not worried at all. With their strength, they were no match for the old man. With the old man's strength, he could easily suppress them. However, now that the Azure Dragon Galaxy was involved, the situation was different. After all, the Azure Dragon Galaxy was also full of experts. It was not inferior to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Okay, you and Zixin stay here. The rest of you go back to Emperor Dong's palace. With the decision made, no one hesitated. In the end, Xiao Chun and Zixin stayed behind to deal with Mr. Ku. Everyone left, leaving only Xiao Chun and Zixin. In a flash, they appeared in front of Mr. Ku. Haha, how many times have I said it? If you go now, it will be too late. Haha. Facing Xiao Chun, Mr. Ku laughed loudly, not caring about his own life at all. Seeing this, Zixin was quite angry. However, Xiao Chun shook his head and sighed with pity. Seeing Xiao Chun's expression, Mr. Ku's laughter stopped abruptly, and he questioned angrily. Why are you sighing? Mr. Ku wanted to see Xiao Chun panic, but he was disappointed. Xiao Chun was not angry at all. Instead, he felt pity for him. This guy was actually pitying him. He was clearly the one who had plotted against them. Why was he pitying him? This hurt Mr. Ku's self-esteem. He had prepared for so many years, but in the end, he was pitied by others. This was not the result he wanted. In the face of Mr. Ku's roar, Xiao Chun just said lightly, I sighed because I felt sorry for you. I am pitiful. Haha, are you joking? The one who should be pitiful should be your Emperor Dong's palace. The fact that you can have such an intense reaction proves that you still know that you are from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. You betrayed your own galaxy and want to take revenge, but you still have to rely on outsiders. Betraying your master for glory, isn't this pitiful? With your own ability, you don't even have the confidence to take revenge. Heh, you're talking nonsense. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Mr. Ku shouted with red eyes. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen no longer cared about what he said. Mr. Ku's preparation this time could be said to be perfect, and he even deceived the entire Emperor Dong's palace. One trap after another, and it was impossible to guard against it. However, this still could not cover up his pitiful side. No matter what happened in the land of 9 suns back then, and no matter who was right or wrong, Mr. Ku wanted revenge. If Mr. Ku wanted to take revenge, no one could stop him, and no one could say that he was wrong. After all, the Emperor Dong's palace did kill his family. However, a person who wanted to rely on external forces and even seek refuge with other galaxies was not pitiful. If Mr. Ku succeeded this time, and the Emperor Dong's palace was really breached, then he would be a sinner and a traitor to the entire Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Even if he did not succeed, Mr. Ku would already be nailed to the pillar of shame of the entire eastern region. It is understandable that you will do anything to achieve your goal, but there are some bottom lines that must be followed. First of all, you have to understand that you are from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. It was the Fire Phoenix Galaxy that raised you in the land of 9 suns. If you take revenge with your own strength, whether you succeed or not, maybe I will think more highly of you. But now, you're just a traitor. The word traitor deeply hurt Mr. Ku, and he glared at Xiao Chun. At this time, it was his turn to lose his calm and roared wildly. I'm not a traitor. You don't have to provoke me like this. It is useless. You are panicking, aren't you? You must be panicking, haha. Mr. Ku was talking nonsense. Seeing this, Xiao Chun did not waste any more time. He waved his hand and directly injured Mr. Ku's meridians, making him unable to circulate the spiritual power in his body freely. Then he turned and said to Zixin, Let's go. Let's go back. The war has probably started. The battle at the Emperor Dong's palace should have started. In fact, as Xiao Chun had guessed, the Emperor Dong's palace was indeed in a mess. More than 100 evil warriors, led by a dozen black-robed men, attacked the Emperor Dong's palace. The black-robed men's cultivation was at least of the ancient era's level. Among them, there were 3 divine ancestor realm experts and 2 combat ancestor realm experts. Among the evil warriors, there were also 2 combat ancestor realm experts who were very powerful. For the Emperor Dong's palace, which was now empty, they were indeed a great enemy. Haha! Kill everything in front of us and destroy the Emperor Dong's palace. After the 2 black-robed men broke into the Emperor Dong's palace, they laughed loudly. They were going to destroy the Emperor Dong's palace. As for escaping, they had never thought about it from the beginning. They were willing to die together with the Emperor Dong's palace. They were all remnants of the land of 9 suns. The anger and hatred in their hearts had made them indifferent to life and death. They had endured endless suffering for many years. They had been waiting for this day, the day they could destroy the Emperor Dong's palace with their own hands. Just as these evil warriors were about to kill, many figures flew out from the Emperor Dong's palace. They looked coldly at these evil warriors, their eyes full of killing intent. Please add, recommend. Chapter 31:16. Figures flew out one by one. They were all members of Emperor Dong's palace and their family members, including Qin Shi and the other women. Since the enemy had already invaded Emperor Dong's palace, they could not turn a blind eye. Therefore, even Qin Shi and the other women, who had not been on the battlefield for a long time, appeared. Looking at the people from Emperor Dong's palace, the black-robed man did not panic at all. Today was the day to destroy Emperor Dong's palace. He did not care about these ants. At the same time, Dong Wang appeared in front of the crowd, accompanied by his wife. He looked calmly at the evil martial artists and the black-robed man. At the same time, the black-robed man shouted angrily when he saw Dong Wang. Dong Wang, why do you know me? I'll recognize you even if you turn into ashes. It's time to settle the grudge of the land of 9 suns. Land of 9 suns? I see. Dong Wang quickly understood. These people were the remnants of the land of 9 suns. When he destroyed the land of 9 suns, these people escaped. However, Dong Wang did not take it to heart. They were just ants. Since they had escaped, they could not cause any trouble. However, he did not expect them to have obtained a profound evil skill from somewhere and to be released back to the eastern region to seek revenge. Old man Dong Wang said coldly as his gaze swept across the crowd. A cold light flashed in his eyes. You are bold and foolish. Do you really think you can fight against Emperor Dong's palace with this small number of people? In my opinion, you are just existences that I can kill with a wave of my hand. As he spoke, Dong Wang pointed his finger and a golden light flashed. Then, an evil martial artist was killed on the spot. Killing these evil, ancient martial art practitioners was not a difficult task for Dong Wang. Although Emperor Dong's palace seemed to have fallen into a trap and Dong Wang had sent out many kings, so what? Without the kings and Dong Wang as the pillar, Emperor Dong's palace was invincible as long as Dong Wang was in charge. Facing Dong Wang's powerful strength, the black-robed men were not surprised. This was within their expectations. To be able to become the ruler of the Emperor Dong's palace and surpass the warlord ancestor realm. How could it be so simple? We naturally know that your strength is extraordinary, so how would we dare to come without any preparation? With their strength, they were naturally no match for Dong Wang. However, this time, they had their own way of dealing with Dong Wang, or rather, someone was willing to help them deal with Dong Wang. As he spoke, the black-robed man took out a token from his bosom. Looking at the token, a strange expression flashed across Dong Wang's face. Then, the black-robed man crushed the token, and a terrifying aura instantly soared into the sky. This aura shocked everyone present. Even Dong Wang's expression changed. Under the shroud of the terrifying aura, the crowd could only see a shadow silently appear. Its face could not be seen clearly, and its body was shrouded in dazzling light. Azure Dragon Star-Lord. Others might not know the origin of this phantom, but Dong Wang was very clear. This guy was the Azure Dragon Star-Lord. Of course, this was not the Azure Dragon Star Lord's true body, but merely a manifestation of his power. Otherwise, with the Azure Dragon Star Lord's strength, if the Azure Dragon Star Lord's true body came personally, the Emperor Dawn's palace would not be able to withstand it. These guys fled to the Azure Dragon Galaxy, but they did not expect to get the token of the Azure Dragon Star Lord. This token was definitely not given to them by the Azure Dragon Star Lord. After all, with their status, they were not qualified to meet the Azure Dragon Star Lord. It could only be those old guys in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. These old guys were eager to see the world in chaos, especially the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Therefore, it seemed like they were helping the black-robed men to improve their strength. Even the evil cultivation technique was probably given to them by the Azure Dragon Galaxy. However, they did not know that in the eyes of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, these black-robed men were just tools to deal with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. His expression was still calm as he looked at the black-robed men. Donghuang's expression gradually turned cold. Is this where you get your confidence from? You think you can deal with the Emperor Dawn's palace alone? Haha, old man, don't bluff. Without you, who else in the Emperor Dawn's palace can stop us? Naive. Do you really think that the Emperor Dawn's palace is strong only because of me? In the black-robed men's opinion, as long as they got rid of Donghuang, the rest of the people in the Emperor Dong's palace were not worth mentioning. However, Donghuang did not think so. He was indeed the strongest person in the Emperor Dong's palace, and also the pillar of the Emperor Dong's palace. However, Donghuang was more like a symbol and had not acted for a long time. This was because Donghuang always felt that his subordinates were all outstanding talents in the eastern region. To put it bluntly, even without him, the Emperor Dong's palace would still be the overlord of the eastern region. You underestimate me and the Emperor Dong's palace too much. In that case, let's fight. With that, Donghuang took the initiative to look for the phantom of the Azure Dragon Star Lord. This phantom did not have much spiritual intelligence, and its strength was less than 1% of the original body. Therefore, although it could delay Donghuang for a while, it was definitely not Donghuang's match. Trying to defeat him with just a shadow? That was too naive of him. Clearly, this was the enemy's plan. They wanted the phantom to delay him, but Donghuang still took the initiative to look for it. This was a manifestation of confidence. From the beginning to the end, Donghuang did not take these remnants of a land of 9 suns seriously. Donghuang stretched out his hand and grabbed, directly disappearing into the void with the phantom. The two of them naturally would not fight here. Otherwise, even with the many arrays in the Emperor Dong's palace, it would still be difficult to resist. Without Donghuang holding the fort, these black-robed men seemed to have regained their confidence and sneered. Kill them all. With a cold shout, many evil warriors launched an attack. Seeing this, the people of the Emperor Dong's palace followed suit. They did not retreat at all. When Qin Shu and the other girls entered the ancient era, their cultivation was not high. Therefore, they were very smart when facing the evil warriors. They did not separate, but joined forces to fight against the two ancient era's evil warriors. They had the advantage in numbers, and their cultivation was similar. For Qin Shu and the others, such a battle was not too difficult. In fact, it was very easy. Although the girls seemed to have not been on the battlefield for a long time, one should not forget that they were once extraordinary talents. However, because of their families, they gave up a lot. Of course, it was also because Xiao Chun was worried that something would happen to them, so the girls did not fight much. However, this did not mean that they were weak. Please add, vote, recommend. Chapter 31:17. With Qin Shu and the other girls working together, they easily gained the upper hand. The two ancient life-form level evil martial artists were no match for them at all and were quickly eradicated. Not only Qin Shu and the other girls, but Lu Bingning and the others were also affected. They might not be from Emperor Dawn's palace, but they were family members. Who could be the family members of Emperor Dawn's palace's king? In other words, ordinary people would not be favored by the kings of Emperor Dong's palace. Seeing that the battle did not go the way they expected, the black-robed men's faces darkened. These evil warriors could not gain any advantage at all and were killed one by one. So what? Who among you can stop someone at the war ancestor realm? Since they were no match for someone of the same realm, they could only make up for it with the difference in cultivation. How could the kings of Emperor Dong's palace deal with the evil warriors of the combat ancestor realm? And themselves, these black-robed men fled from the land of 9 suns and stumbled all the way to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. No matter what the Azure Dragon Galaxy's purpose was, they had improved their strength by a lot. Some of them could even reach the combat ancestor realm without the help of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. They used their cultivation to suppress the people of Emperor Dong's palace. With the addition of the black-robed men and the combat ancestor realm evil warriors, the situation changed. After all, it was difficult to make up for the difference in cultivation. They could only rely on their advantage in numbers. However, it was a pity that such a confrontation would not last for long. Just like Qin Shu, Lu Bingning, and the other girls, they encountered an evil warrior of the combat ancestor realm after taking care of the first few evil warriors. The girls worked together, but they still could not gain the upper hand. The difference in cultivation was too big, so big that it was difficult to make up for it. We will destroy Emperor Dong's palace today. Seeing that the situation was under his control again, the leader of the black-robed men sneered. After preparing for so long, this was the result they wanted to see. However, before he could be happy for too long, spatial cracks appeared in the sky. The kings who had left earlier had finally returned. Looks like it's not too late. Yeah, the battle is not over yet. That's why I said these guys are too stupid. They thought they could destroy Emperor Dong's palace in an instant by luring us away. Following a series of calm and relaxed conversations, one after another, kings walked out of the spatial cracks. They looked down at the battle below with a relaxed look on their faces, without a hint of seriousness on their faces. They're just a bunch of clowns. They're not worth mentioning at all. All right, cut the crap. Let's get rid of them first. Yes, everyone, it's better to capture them alive. The old man is probably in a bad mood, so let's give him a few punching bags. How could old Dong Wang be in a good mood now that the enemy had come knocking on his door and directly invaded Emperor Dong's palace? Therefore, the various kings also felt that they should leave 2 of them alive, for no other reason than to vent their anger for the old man and have some fun. While they would be 2, there were too many missions. Okay, I'll restrain myself. As they spoke, the kings attacked together. Lin Yin naturally found Qin Shu, Lu Bingning, and the other girls immediately. Mr. Lin Yin smiled when he saw the girls fighting a battle ancestor realm evil cultivator. He forced the battle ancestor realm evil cultivator back with a punch and smiled. Leave this to me. Okay, be careful, husband. In response, Lu Bingning simply nodded in agreement. They were indeed no match for this evil martial artist. Lin Yin looked at the evil warrior. He did not waste any time and chose to attack. Terrifying spiritual energy shot up into the sky and rushed toward the evil warrior. Holding a spear in his hand, the evil cultivator reacted quickly and defended himself when he thrust his spear. Unfortunately, even so, he was still sent flying by Lin Yin. There were strong and weak warriors of the combat ancestor realm, and the gap was even greater. Although these evil cultivators' cultivation had reached the battle ancestor realm, compared to Lin Yin, who had undergone countless tempering and matured, they were much weaker. There was no comparison between the two. The truly terrifying thing about evil warriors was their speed and ability to spread. Thinking about how cultivating evil techniques could allow a person to grow in the shortest time, it was easy to cultivate. This was the most terrifying thing about evil warriors. As for combat strength, Lin Yun really did not put these evil warriors in his eyes. He had the upper hand as soon as he attacked. Not only was Lin Yun like this, but the other kings were the same. In addition, the situation was completely reversed. In terms of a number of combat ancestor realm experts, Emperor Dong's palace was superior. Their numbers were inferior, and their strength was inferior. The situation was obvious. In an instant, Emperor Dong's palace had the upper hand. Qing Lin fought with one of the black-robed men of the combat ancestor realm. Both of them were of the combat ancestor realm. In a one-on-one situation, Qing Lin was very relaxed and did not seem to be under any pressure. Looking at you, you didn't cultivate to the combat ancestor realm by yourself. How many treasures did you use? The black-robed man's cultivation was of the combat ancestor realm, but his combat strength was too weak. In the combat ancestor realm, he could only be ranked at the bottom. Emperor Dong's palace would probably look down on such a person even if he had the cultivation of the combat ancestor realm, let alone become the king of Emperor Dong's palace. There were so many kings in Emperor Dong's palace. Which one of them did not rely on their own efforts and talent to climb up step by step? Old man Dong Wang was famous for hating those who used elixirs and treasures to break through. Because in the old man's opinion, such a person, no matter how high his cultivation was just a facade. Once he fought, his true colors would be revealed. The kings of Emperor Dong's palace were naturally not a group of paper tigers. In addition to cultivation, there were also strict requirements for combat strength. Therefore, almost every king in Emperor Dong's palace could be said to be invincible. If he could not even achieve this, how could he be the king of Emperor Dong's palace? The black-robed man was furious that he was suppressed by Qing Lin to the point that he could not fight back at all. However, his strength was inferior, and it was not something that could be changed by anger. After a round of fighting, Qing Lin said with some boredom, "I'm a little bored. I really don't know where you get the confidence to attack Emperor Dong's palace directly. Please add it to your collection. Monthly vote. Recommended." Chapter 31:18. Qing Lin said disinterestedly. Without waiting for the black-robed man to reply, he appeared in front of him in a flash. He was so fast that the black-robed man did not even have time to react before he was hit by Qing Lin's punch. "You? How is that possible?" He did not expect Qing Lin to be so fast. He was also a war ancestor, but he could not keep up with his movements at all. Compared to the black-robed man's shock, Qing Lin was very calm. Nothing is impossible. It just means that you're too weak. Although both of them were war ancestor, there was still a huge gap between their strength. One relied on his own ability to cultivate step by step, while the other relied on other methods to forcefully raise his strength. The black-robed man should know best how he became a war ancestor powerhouse. With such methods, even if he became a war ancestor powerhouse, he would be the weakest existence. Qing Lin did not take him seriously at all. Just as Qing Lin said, he was a little tired from playing, so he did not want to play anymore. It was meaningless. He attacked with all his might, and it did not take much effort to capture the black-robed man alive. When Qing Lin's battle ended, the others' battles were also coming to an end. These people had planned this for many years, but after the kings of Emperor Dong's palace appeared, they were defeated almost instantly. The evil martial artists were all killed, and many of the black-robed men were captured alive. After doing all this, Qing Lin smiled at the people below. "Take them away and let the old man put out the fire." Old man Dong Wang was really pissed off this time. These black-robed men were just trying to calm him down. However, as soon as Qing Lin said that, a spatial crack appeared and Dong Wang walked out of it slowly, speaking indifferently. "What do I want them for? Kill them all." As he said that, he glanced at Qing Lin speechlessly. Who did he think he was? Did he think he was a pervert? Did he want to torture these people? Dong Wang did not have such thoughts at all. In response, Qing Lin smiled embarrassedly and killed all the black-robed men at random. He thought it would be an earth-shattering battle, but who knew it would end so quickly? This was the difference in strength between the two sides. There was no comparison at all. The black-robed men had calculated it several times, but with such a difference in strength, it still couldn't change anything. With the crisis averted, Dong Wang left immediately. The crowd also dispersed. Why didn't Xiaoqin come back? Qin Shiru and the other girls asked worriedly when they didn't see Xiaoqin in the crowd. Lin Yun explained with a smile. "Don't worry. Xiaoqin will be back soon. There's no danger." Xiaoqin and Zixian stayed behind to deal with Mr. Ku, and it was estimated that they would be back soon. Hearing this, Qin Shu and the other women nodded and returned to their residence. Indeed, not long after, Xiao Chun and Zi Xian returned with Mr. Ku. Mr. Ku said in disbelief as he looked at Emperor Dong's palace, which had regained its calm. Impossible. Why is it like this? After so many calculations, in his opinion, their plan was absolutely perfect, but why didn't it cause any danger to Emperor Dong's palace? Not to mention destroying Emperor Dong's palace. It didn't even scratch the surface of Emperor Dong's palace. Many members of Emperor Dong's palace and their families were still doing what they were supposed to do. In response, Zi Xian sneered. If you could deal with Emperor Dong's palace with such a clumsy plan, then Emperor Dong's palace wouldn't have been able to stand in the eastern region for so many years. Emperor Dong's palace was obviously not simple to be able to control the eastern region for so many years. It would be strange if anyone could deal with Emperor Dong's palace at will. Well, let's go and see the old man first. Xiao Chen didn't care. Such an outcome was within his expectations. After all, he was powerful. Looking at everything in front of him, Mr. Ku was completely desperate. He and the others had prepared for so many years, but in the end, this was the result. Nothing happened to them at all. In the eyes of Emperor Dong's palace, their revenge might be more like a child's play. Xiao Chun and Zi Xian had just arrived when they came to Emperor Dong's residence. Qing Lin was already waiting there. Seeing the two of them, Qing Lin smiled. You're back. Yes, but you have to deal with him first. The old man doesn't want to see him. Hearing Qing Lin's words, Mr. Ku was shocked again. He thought that Emperor Dong would interrogate him, and he had even thought of an excuse. At that time, he would scold Emperor Dong's palace for what they had done and then die generously. But who would have thought that Emperor Dong didn't want to see him at all? He just asked Xiao Chun and Zi Xian to kill him casually. No, I want to see Emperor Dong. I want to see Emperor Dong. Mr. Ku wanted to see Emperor Dong now. Even if he had to die, he didn't want to die like an ant. He wanted to let Emperor Dong know who he was. Unfortunately, in the face of his anger, Xiao Chun just nodded and pointed his finger. A terrifying sword chi instantly killed Mr. Ku on the spot. Not even his body was left behind. One idiot. Let's go in. Qing Lin glanced at Mr. Ku, who was still unaware of his death, and sneered. These people thought that they had brought a lot of trouble to Emperor Dong's palace, but they didn't know that their revenge did not pose any threat to Emperor Dong's palace at all. If one had to put in words, it would only make people feel annoyed. This was because they were like rats that couldn't be found. But this time, this group of people took the initiative to attack Emperor Dong's palace. They had walked right into the trap. Originally, they had to spend a lot of effort to find them, but now they had caught them all in one fell swoop. Seeing Xiao Chun and Zi Xian, Emperor Dong smiled and followed Qing Lin into Emperor Dong's residence. You're back. Come, have a taste of my new tea leaves. Emperor Dong loved to drink tea. Every time he came, he would make tea himself. Moreover, Emperor Dong's tea was a real treasure. A martial artist with a low cultivation level might be able to break through his cultivation level after drinking just one sip. However, for combat ancestor realm martial artists like Xiao Chun, the effect was not so great. But it tasted good, so Xiao Chun liked it very much. After taking a sip, Xiao Chun said with a smile, not bad. Not bad, the tea this time. Old man, give me some to bring back. You brat, you always bring good things home. Okay, I'll give you some when we leave. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Emperor Dong didn't refuse. Although the tea was precious, it was nothing to Emperor Dong. Moreover, he wasn't a stingy person. If Xiao Chen liked it, he would give him some, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 31:19. The few of them chatted while drinking tea. Now that the matter of the Nine Suns land was over, everyone was completely relaxed. However, there was another important matter. Dong Wang took a sip of tea and said slowly, by the way, the Hidden Dragon List of the East region is about to begin. Xiao Chen had heard about the Hidden Dragon List from Qing Lin. It was a grand occasion for the younger generation of the East region. Every time the Hidden Dragon list was opened, it was a grand event for the entire East region. Moreover, Emperor Dong's palace was in charge of the Hidden Dragon list every time. After all, the ranking given by Emperor Dong's palace was more convincing. The Hidden Dragon list was definitely not as simple as a ranking. Those who could make it onto the Hidden Dragon list were not just proud of themselves. More importantly, they would be rewarded by Emperor Dong's palace. They might even be fancied by the experts in Emperor Dong's palace and become their disciples. Amongst the various kings, there were quite a few who had taken in disciples, and they basically came from the Hidden Dragon rankings. Once they were fancied by the kings, it was definitely a great opportunity for these young people. Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Lin Feng, Lin Shui, and the others were also interested in participating in the Hidden Dragon list. Of course, they did not care too much about the rewards. After all, these little guys did not lack cultivation resources at all. What really attracted them was the opportunity to fight with the geniuses of the East region. After all, when they were in the land of 10,000 stars, these little guys were already considered the strongest among the younger generation. At that time, they were almost invincible among their peers. However, now, it was hard to say when facing the geniuses of the entire East region. The unknown experts made these little guys excited. Xiao Chan did not intend to stop them. After all, it was a good thing. Being able to compete with the geniuses of the East region was also a good experience for these little guys' growth. Because it was related to his little guys, Xiao Chun was a little interested when Dong Wang mentioned the Hidden Dragon list. I'll leave this Hidden Dragon ranking to the two of you. Dong Wang naturally could not handle the Hidden Dragon list himself. However, such a grand event required the presence of the kings of Emperor Dong's palace. Ordinary members were not qualified, so the old man directly threw the matter to Xiao Chun and Qing Lin. Xiao Chun did not object to this, and Qing Lin could only grumble helplessly. Well, old man, you really don't give me any time to breathe. I still want to have a good rest for a while. What? You don't want to do it? If you don't, I'll leave it to someone else. Presiding over the Hidden Dragon ranking was definitely a lucrative job. Hearing this, Qing Lin immediately laughed embarrassedly. Of course. Since the old man gave the order, I naturally had to climb a mountain of blades and dive into a sea of flames. All right, cut the crap. That's it. You guys should pay more attention to the Hidden Dragon ranking. After leaving Dong Wang's place, Xiao Chun quickly returned home. At the same time, the news about the Hidden Dragon ranking spread quickly in the outside world. Although some time ago, the matter of the evil warriors had caused panic in the entire eastern region. However, as the matter was settled, everyone's attention quickly shifted to the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. After all, this was a day that countless people were looking forward to, especially those of the younger generation. Many people worked hard to cultivate because they wanted to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Ha! My sword realm has finally reached perfection. This time, there will definitely be a place for me on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. My ancestral martial technique has finally reached perfection. In each heaven and earth, there were young talents who had not prepared for the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. They would not miss such a grand event. They were all outstanding talents among their peers. However, they all knew that the stage that truly belonged to them was not here, but the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Countless people were looking forward to the opening of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. As for Emperor Dong's palace, naturally, they had also begun to prepare. Father, when will the Hidden Dragon leaderboard begin? Xiao Lao sat in front of Xiao Chan excitedly and asked. Xiao Lao was especially excited when the Hidden Dragon leaderboard began. He could not wait any longer as he wanted to see the strength of the top talents in the eastern region. Looking at the little guy's excited face, Xiao Chun laughed and scolded him. It had better be in a few months. After all, there is still the preliminary phase. The Hidden Dragon leaderboard was divided into the preliminary phase and the main phase. The preliminary phase was the selection of each heaven and earth. After all, the eastern region was so vast. With so many young talents, it was naturally impossible to let all of them fight one by one. That would be a waste of time. Therefore, Each heaven and earth had their own preliminary phase before the Hidden Dragon leaderboard began. According to the rules of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard, each heaven and earth only had 10 slots. In other words, among the countless young talents in each heaven and earth, only 10 of them could enter the main phase of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Now that it was the preliminary phase, it was the business of each heaven and earth. Emperor Dong's palace would not interfere. Of course, these heaven and earth would not purposely go easy on them. After all, the selected talents represented their own heaven and earth. If the selected talents were unable to withstand a single blow, it would be a disgrace to their own heaven and earth. As Xiao Qian's sons, Xiao Lao and Xiao Yao naturally did not need to participate in the preliminary phase. As for the reason, it was because they had a good father. As the king of Emperor Dong's palace, Xiao Qian naturally had the right to do so. Hearing Xiao Qian's words, Xiao Lao was a little depressed. It seemed like he still had to wait for a while. In response, Xiao Qian laughed and scolded him. "Kid, why don't you take this opportunity to improve your strength? Don't embarrass me when you fight." "Don't worry, father. There won't be a problem." In response, Xiao Lao was full of confidence. Xiao Qian already had the cultivation of a world lord. His strength was indeed not weak. However, Xiao Qian had chatted with Qing Lin before. The cultivation of a world lord was already considered outstanding among the younger generation in the land of infinite stars. However, in the eastern region, there were many people of the same age as Xiao Lao who also had the cultivation of a world lord. It could even be said that the talents who could participate in the main phase of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard were almost all world lords. Without the cultivation of a world lord, there was no need to even think about it. Xiao Lao's advantage was that he did not lack cultivation resources. At the same time, he was extremely talented. In addition, he had Xiao Qian, who was a combat ancestor, as a father. However, at the same time, Xiao Lao also had his own disadvantages. That was, he had not been in contact with the world of the eastern region for long. Unlike the talents from other realms, Xiao Lao had not been in contact with the eastern region for long. The other talents had been training in different realms since they were young. They had seen and heard much more than Xiao Lao. This was like a person who had traveled the world and a person who had been working behind closed doors. Xiao Lao belonged to the type of person who had been working behind closed doors. Therefore, it was really hard to say whether Xiao Lao and the others would be able to achieve good results in the Hidden Dragon leaderboard this time. After all, the eastern region was so big. It was not uncommon for there to be crouching tigers and hidden dragons, especially for a grand event like the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 31:20. The Hidden Dragon leaderboard was in full swing. The preliminaries of each heaven and earth could be said to be extremely intense. Countless young geniuses had to compete for a mere 10 places. As one of the many realms, the Land of 1,000 Stars also had 10 spots. The Sacred Palace was responsible for the selection. Xiao Qian was relatively relaxed in the preliminaries. After all, he didn't have to do these things personally. On this day, Xiao Qian and Qing Lin were discussing the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. There was a special continent in charge of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Emperor Dong's palace had already started to make arrangements. "Brother Xiao Qian, your boys are also participating in the Hidden Dragon leaderboard, right?" Qing Lin asked Xiao Qian with a smile after he was done. Xiao Qian didn't hide it and nodded gently. "Yes." "Then you have to be prepared. There are many geniuses in the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Although your boys are quite powerful, you still have to be careful. In the Land of 1,000 Stars, Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao were invincible among their peers. However, in the entire East region, it was hard to say. After all, there were many geniuses in the East region. After a month, the preliminaries of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard finally came to an end. Then came the main competition. At this time, in a small world not far from Emperor Dong's palace, the Hidden Dragon world was where the Hidden Dragon leaderboard was held. The world wasn't big, but there were many mountains. Every mountain seemed to have been cut in half. There was a huge arena at the top of the mountain. Above the hidden dragon world, there were many high platforms floating at the top. They were specially used for people to watch the battles. The sky was blue and cloudless. When one entered the hidden dragon world, one could feel a strong fighting spirit. It was the fighting spirit left over from the previous hidden dragon leaderboard battles. Moreover, in the center of the hidden dragon world, there was a huge stone tablet. The stone tablet was connected to heaven and earth. It was at least tens of thousands of feet tall. This was the hidden dragon tablet. Anyone who could enter the hidden dragon leaderboard could leave their names on the tablet. However, at this moment, there was not a single person's name on the hidden dragon stele. The previous hidden dragon stele had already been erased. The hidden dragon stele was waiting for the next hidden dragon stele. As time went by, the hidden dragon world became more and more lively. Geniuses from all over the world came to the hidden dragon world one after another. Experts from Emperor Dawn's palace were responsible for maintaining order. Many of the young geniuses were very excited to come to this place that they had always dreamed of. All of them looked at the tall hidden dragon monument with longing in their eyes. They dreamed that they could leave their names on the monument, and then their names would spread throughout the eastern region. Is this the hidden dragon stele? Ha! The highest palace of the younger generation in the entire eastern region. This time, I must ascend the hidden dragon stele. It's not that easy to climb the hidden dragon monument. There are more than 10,000 young geniuses participating in this competition. However, the hidden dragon monument is only for the top 100. Without true ability, it's impossible to climb the monument. Even so, I will definitely be able to ascend the hidden dragon stele. Who doesn't know how to boast? But in the end, it all depends on strength. You think I'm lying? Why don't you have a fight with me? Young geniuses from dozens of worlds had already arrived in the hidden dragon realm. These young geniuses were all proud and arrogant. Perhaps they had never met a worthy opponent among their peers. Therefore, when they gathered together, the smell of gunpowder was naturally intense. Below the hidden dragon stele, many people could no longer suppress the battle intent in their hearts. However, before they could make a move, an indifferent and majestic voice came from the sky. Before the hidden dragon stele starts, no one is allowed to fight without permission. Violators will be expelled immediately. Of course, it was impossible to allow these young geniuses to fight in private. Otherwise, the entire hidden dragon realm would be in chaos. Hearing the warning from the expert from Emperor Dawn's palace, although these young geniuses still could not suppress their battle intent, they eventually gave up the idea in their hearts. They did not dare to disobey the order from Emperor Dawn's palace. Humph, see you on the hidden dragon stele. At that time, I will show you what true strength is. I was waiting for you to say that. Many young geniuses were not convinced. Before the hidden dragon stele started, their battle intent had already soared. In the hidden dragon realm, people from each world had their own encampment. Those young geniuses were also led by experts from their respective worlds. The number of people in each world was almost 100. Indifferently, there were only 10 geniuses who were really participating in the Thousand Dragon Edition. These little guys are not bad. They are very energetic. Xiao Chun, Qing Lin, Lin Yun, Zi Xian, and the others had also arrived in the hidden dragon realm. At this time, they were drinking tea and chatting. Xiao Chun and the others naturally knew what had just happened. Before the competition started, there was already a smell of gunpowder. Every one of them was unruly and unruly. Lin Yun and the others came to watch the competition. Xiao Chun and Qing Lin were fully in charge of this hidden dragon stele. Hearing this, Lin Yun said with a smile, "Isn't that what young people should be like? If they don't have any fighting spirit, how can they be called young?" Haha, you're right. By the way, how are the little guys in your family? Lai Wan asked. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's little guys were also going to participate in the hidden dragon stele. Xiao Chun said with a smile, "Almost there. I can't wait any longer." Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, and the others were very much looking forward to this hidden dragon stele. Xiao Chun didn't even need to say anything. These little guys knew that they had to work hard during this period of time. This made Xiao Chun very satisfied. In addition to the various cultivation mystic realms and resources in Emperor Dong's palace, although they couldn't improve their cultivation too much in a short period of time, their combat strength had increased a lot. The main thing was to adjust their state. Just now, when Xiao Chun looked at the geniuses of the various heavens and earth, he couldn't help but nod in his heart. It was indeed a gathering of the young geniuses of the East region. None of them were weak. The weakest group of people was probably the land of 10,000 stars. Compared to the geniuses of the other heavens and earth, the geniuses of the land of 10,000 stars were indeed very difficult to compare with the geniuses of the other heavens and earth in terms of cultivation and combat strength. There was still a distance between them. Moreover, among so many geniuses, Xiao Chan found that many of them were stronger than Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, and the others. Obviously, this time, it was impossible for them to have overwhelming strength like they did in the land of 10,000 stars. This was because they had met someone stronger than them. This was also what Qing Lin had said previously. Compared to the geniuses of the other heavens and earth, Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, and the others had their own disadvantages. That was, they had been in contact with the East region for too short time. They couldn't be compared to the geniuses who had been training all over the East region since they were young. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 31-21. For Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao, there were too many experts in the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. With the arrival of the young geniuses from various realms, the Hidden Dragon leaderboard finally began as scheduled after several days of preparation. Early in the morning, the whole Hidden Dragon realm was bustling with noise and excitement. Young geniuses and experts from different realms had gathered together. Everyone looked at the high platform in front of them excitedly. Although there was no one there, many people were fascinated by it. As time went by, many figures appeared on the high platform. They were all experts from Emperor Dong's palace. From the primeval god spirits to the sacred patriarchs, none of them were truly important figures. Everyone sucked in a deep breath when a king-tier cultivator appeared. It was a rare opportunity to be in close contact with a king from Emperor Dong's palace, especially for those young geniuses. Lin Yun, Zi Xian, Lai Wan, and the others appeared one after another. However, they did not stand in the middle. That was because they were not in charge of the Hidden Dragon leaderboard, but Xiao Chun and Qing Lin. In the end, Xiao Chun and Qing Lin appeared together. They looked at the young geniuses below with smiles on their faces. Brother Qing Lin, you should do it. Xiao Chun looked at Qing Lin and said. He was not interested in hosting the Hidden Dragon leaderboard and had no experience in it. Qing Lin scolded him helplessly. You brat, the old man said that the two of us should be in charge together. However, it seems that I have been alone from the beginning. To be honest, Xiao Chun did not help much in this Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Therefore, in the face of Qing Lin's ridicule, Xiao Chun did not say anything. He just smiled. An able man should do more work. Anyway, Qing Lin had the ability to do so. Seeing that Xiao Chun had no intention to speak, Qing Lin did not say anything more. He shook his head and looked at the geniuses present. There are 999 Hidden Dragon Peaks. Now, let's start the first round. The Hidden Dragon leaderboard competition was divided into two stages. The first stage was the competition for the Hidden Dragon Peaks. There were 999 mountains in the entire Hidden Dragon realm. Each mountain was an arena. The first round of the competition was to seize the Hidden Dragon Peak. Within the specified time, the last person who could occupy the Hidden Dragon Peak would pass, while the others would be directly eliminated. In other words, out of all the young geniuses present, only 999 of them would be able to pass the first round. Only those who passed the first round would have the qualifications to continue participating in the next round of the arena battles. As soon as Qing Lin finished speaking, all the Sky Prides rushed towards the Hidden Dragon Peak. In fact, it was not a wise choice to occupy the Hidden Dragon Peak from the beginning. After all, it would put him in a position where he would always be challenged. As time went on, it would inevitably be a huge drain on him, and in the end, he might even benefit others. However, The people present were all young geniuses. They were the top figures of the younger generation in the eastern region. Each of them was extremely arrogant. They obviously didn't care about these things, or rather, they didn't bother to think about these things. From their point of view, what exhaustion? What being stolen? It was all because they were not strong enough. What was there to be afraid of, even if a true expert challenged everyone? Therefore, from the beginning, a series of battles took place on each of the hidden dragon peaks. Those who were faster occupied the hidden dragon peak at the first moment, looking down at the crowd below. Who wants to challenge? Who dares to come forward and fight? Their battle intent soared, and there was no sign of retreat. This was the aura that young geniuses should have. Instead of being a yes man, they could hide their strength. This was not the behavior of a genius, and it was also despised by others. They were not as fast as others, and the others had taken the initiative and occupied the hidden dragon peak first. Naturally, the crowd was not convinced. Hearing this, challengers appeared on each of the hidden dragon peaks. According to the rules, challenges could only be one-on-one. When someone challenged again, the others could only choose to wait or go to other hidden dragon peaks. Of course, in the current situation, even if they went to other hidden dragon peaks, the result would be the same. Because there were battles breaking out on each of the hidden dragon peaks, no one was willing to choose to retreat at this time. I'll fight you. On one of the hidden dragon peaks, a young man strode forward and went directly to the battle stage at the peak of the mountain. The young man who took the lead to occupy the peak said with a scornful smile, "You're no match for me." Both of them were world lords. To have such cultivation at such a young age, they were indeed geniuses. However, such cultivation was everywhere on the hidden dragon leaderboard. If you didn't have the cultivation of a world lord, you didn't even need to participate in the hidden dragon leaderboard, because it would only be a disgrace. Don't say that you can challenge those of a higher level. Everyone present was a genius. Who couldn't challenge those of a higher level? Basically, if your cultivation was not as good as others, there was no point in fighting. This was an unwritten rule of the hidden dragon leaderboard. Right now, both of them had the cultivation of a world lord. However, the young man who occupied the peak of the mountain still spoke confidently. He looked as if he did not care about his opponent at all, and he had absolute confidence in his own strength. Among his peers, it seemed that no one could defeat him. Regarding this, the young man who challenged him also looked gloomy. "You're a genius, but am I not?" He immediately shouted angrily. "Umph! I like to see if your strength is as good as your mouth. Take this." Without any superfluous words, the young man threw out a punch. The terrifying power instantly caused layers of ripples in the surrounding space. One should know that the space of the hidden dragon realm was specially strengthened. Not to mention world lords, even divine ancestors could not break the space here. Therefore, in the hidden dragon realm, no one could travel through the void. Only the kings who had reached the warlord realm could do it, because only they could tear the space of the hidden dragon realm. However, the young man's punch caused layers of ripples in the space, which showed how powerful it was. However, the young man who was facing him did not change his expression. He still said with indifference and confidence, "If that's all, then you can get lost." As he said that, he did not dodge and threw out a punch as well. Their fists collided in the air. The terrifying aftermath was crazy and wanton. Instantly, a huge gust of wind was formed on the peak of the mountain, and it spread wildly in all directions. These two young men are quite strong. Sensing the battle here, Lai Wan, who was on the high platform, said with interest, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 31:22. Lai Wan looked over with interest. The two young men's fists had already collided with each other. Judging from their physiques, the two of them were obviously martial artists with strong physical bodies. They should have cultivated a decent body-tempering cultivation technique. Their bodies were tall and strong. When they collided with each other, there were layers of ripples in the space. The terrifying force even engulfed the entire mountain peak. Lai Wan, who was also a body-tempering martial artist, obviously preferred such a fighting style. They were in a stalemate for a while. However, in the end, the young man who challenged Lai Wan was forced to take a few steps back. It was the first time they had exchanged blows. In terms of strength, the young man who was guarding the ring was stronger. Again, perhaps it was because it was rare to meet an opponent who was also a body tempering cultivation technique. The young man who was guarding the ring smiled excitedly. He didn't give the person a chance to take a breather. He roared and immediately attacked again. When they stood together again, their fighting styles were simple and tough. Every punch hit the flesh. They relied on their strength and physical bodies. The two of them weren't even interested in dodging normal attacks. With the strength of their physical bodies, such attacks were nothing. Looking at the two of them fighting fiercely, the surrounding crowd was shocked. The two of them are so strong. Anyone could tell that both of them were extremely powerful. Although they were only at the level of a world lord, they were probably strong enough to fight against an ancient-era living being. Not to mention the two young geniuses, even many older martial artists couldn't refine their physical bodies to such an extent. One should know that the refining of physical bodies was not only extremely difficult, but also extremely arduous. If one hadn't gone through inhumane torture, it would be impossible to refine their physical bodies to such an extent. It was because the refining of physical bodies required extremely strong perseverance that there were so few body-tempering martial artists. After all, it was difficult for an ordinary person to withstand such pain. Moreover, the pain wasn't over after 1 or 2 times. It was torture day after day. The process of strengthening one's physical body was a cycle of destruction and rebirth. Only by being reborn from destruction could one possess an even stronger physical body. In the end, the young man who was guarding the ring laughed heartily. "Haha, great. In order to repay you, I will use all my strength to defeat you." As he spoke, a black aura continuously condensed on his right fist. An extremely cold and gloomy feeling instantly spread out. Death Chi. Many sky prides frown when they sense the aura on a young man's right fist. This person actually cultivated Death Chi, and from the looks of it, he seemed to have mastered it perfectly. Everyone knew that the death aura was very powerful. It was just like the apocalypse that the ancestors had created back in the myriad star domain. He was formed from Death Chi, and his strength was so strong that even little Qing had to give way to him. At that moment, the young man had also mastered the Death Chi. This was truly shocking. "It's over." With a furious roar, the young man immediately punched out in a circle, his fist hitting the other man's abdomen. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and the terrifying Death Chi drilled into his body like maggots. In an instant, the life force in his body was quickly wiped out. His originally strong body also quickly became dispirited and thin, as if it was deflated. It was obvious that he could not block the punch. Moreover, the powerful force directly blasted the challenger off the peak of the mountain. The outcome of the battle had been decided. Seeing how the scores had been decided so quickly, the spectating heaven's favorites were all stunned. However, what followed was a burst of hearty laughter. "Haha, who else?" Clearly, he was having a good time, and was even urging the next opponent to come up to the ring. This was an absolute tie in terms of physical strength. Lai Wan, who had been watching the battle, smiled. "Why, you fancy that kid? He's not bad. He's one of the top few on the hidden dragon roll this time." A regal from Emperor Dong's palace said with a smile. Obviously, he knew about the young man. In response, Lai Wan smiled faintly. "Not bad. Let's wait and see. However, it's indeed not easy to cultivate your physical body to such a level. However, if you don't have a higher level of body tempering cultivation technique or natural treasure in the future, it'll probably be very difficult for you to improve." What Lai Wan said was true. The young man's physical body was indeed strong. However, there were signs of it reaching its limit. This was because the body tempering cultivation technique that he had cultivated had already been exhausted. If he wanted to continue to improve and cultivate his physical body, he would have to change to a stronger body tempering cultivation technique. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to gain anything. After all, body refinement was extremely reliant on various kinds of resources. Without sufficient cultivation resources, wanting to improve one's physical strength was simply a pipe dream. However, the regal from Emperor Dong's palace said with a smile, "That's easy. Take him as your disciple and teach him the body-tempering cultivation technique." Yes, in the East region, Lai Wan was definitely in the top 3 in terms of physical strength. Moreover, the body-tempering cultivation technique that he had cultivated was the top one in the entire East region. Therefore, as long as the young man could become Lai Wan's disciple, all his problems would naturally be solved. However, although Lai Wan thought highly of the young man, he had no intention of taking him in as his disciple. He only said with a smile, there's no hurry. Let's watch 2 more battles." For existences at Lai Wan's level, they had already become extremely cautious when accepting disciples. In other words, ordinary supreme talents were simply not worthy of their attention. Only the prodigies among the prodigies would be able to make them look at them in a different light. This was also the reason why, although the top 100 people in each hidden dragon role would be listed, there were less than 10 people who were fortunate enough to become the regal's disciple in the end. What was even more ridiculous was that the regals from Emperor Dong's palace did not take in any of the supreme talents for a few hidden dragon roles. The battles on the various mountain peaks had already broken out. Those who had a huge gap in strength had already finished their battle, just like the 2 young men from before. However, the battles on some mountain peaks were extremely intense. The strength of the 2 parties was similar, and it was difficult to determine the winner. Such a situation was actually not a good sign. Originally, one could have passed the first round. However, if one fought recklessly in advance, it might cause one to be severely injured and thus not be able to enter the second round. Such a situation was actually not uncommon in the previous Hidden Dragon role battles. Obviously, one had the strength but was unable to enter the second round. However, it all depended on one's own choice. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 31-23. Countless exciting battles were taking place, but the most eye-catching ones were the 2 men on one of the mountains. These 2 young men both held long swords in their hands, and their appearances were 70 to 80% similar. It's Jian Yi and Jian Shi from the Jian family. The Jian family was the absolute overlord of the sword universe. The entire sword universe was under their control. Hundreds of years ago, someone from the Jian family had become the king of the Emperor Dong's palace. Unfortunately, he died in a battle between the Fire Phoenix Galaxy and the Azure Dragon Galaxy. The death of that person was a big blow to the Jian family. However, for a family with countless years of history like the Jian family, it was not enough to shake their foundation. Even now, the Jian family still had several experts from the Emperor Dong's palace. However, without a king, the strongest expert was only a divine ancestor. However, although the number of experts from the older generation had declined, the younger generation of the Jian family was still very enviable. It was because the Jian family had 2 geniuses of sword principle in this generation. Any one of them would be ranked on the Hidden Dragon list. Now, the Jian family had 2 geniuses of sword principle. These 2 people were Sword One and Sword Fanatic. Although they were from the same family, the 2 of them had been fighting since the beginning. As the defender, Jian Yi said helplessly when he saw Jian Shi coming to challenge him, "Jian Shi, do you have to fight me now? The others are too weak. I want to fight you." Jian Shi replied without hesitation. In his opinion, he did not care about the ranking. He only wanted to fight with the strong. However, he was not interested in the others, so he decided to challenge his brother from the same family. The strength of the 2 of them was enough to be ranked at the top, even on the Hidden Dragon ranking. Therefore, such a battle naturally attracted the attention of countless people. They're fighting so soon? That's not wise. Yeah, with the strength of Jian Yi and Jian Shi, they're definitely ranked on the Hidden Dragon list. Why do they have to fight now? You guys don't know. It is said that Jian Shi only cares about the sword. He doesn't care about the ranking. The geniuses discussed, in low voices. Many of them felt that it was a pity because now was not the time for Jian Yi and Jian Shi to fight. They were both top geniuses who could rank on the Hidden Dragon list. Not only the others, but the experts from the Jian family who came with them were also unhappy when they saw this scene. The leader of the group, an old man, couldn't help but curse. Idiot. The idiot the old man was talking about was undoubtedly Sword Maniac. He could have easily entered the second round, but this guy insisted on challenging Sword One. It could be said that there was almost no difference in strength between the two of them. After a few rounds, the outcome would definitely be a situation where both sides would suffer. If he wasn't careful, it was very likely that both of them would be eliminated in the first round. However, they were unable to stop it even after a few rounds. That was because once the Hidden Dragon rank was opened, outsiders were not allowed to interfere. Not to mention that Shao Chun and many other king-level warriors were watching the battles. Even the Jian family would not go to the Emperor Dong's palace at such a time. Jian Shi did not care about the others' discussion. Jian Shi wanted to fight with Jian Yi, so he came. As soon as he finished speaking, he activated his sword realm. As a top genius, Jian Shi naturally comprehended the sword realm. Jian Yi did not want to be outdone by Jian Shi's sword realm. Jian Yi also activated his sword realm. The two geniuses of the Jian family clashed at the beginning. This battle instantly attracted the attention of many people. Be careful. Their sword realms collided with each other. Jian Shi shouted and jumped up. He appeared in front of Jian Yi in the blink of an eye, as if he had teleported. Jian Shi swung his long sword in a seemingly ordinary way, but the sword radiance shone brightly. Seeing this, Jian Yi raised his sword to block the attack. The two immediately started fighting. Every sword strike gave people a feeling of suffocation. Even those experts of the older generation would find it difficult to have such attainments in the way of the sword. It was well known that sword cultivators were known for their powerful attacks. In the same realm, a sword cultivator's attack power was definitely the best. As for Sword One and Sword Maniac, as geniuses of sword principle, they had made full use of this advantage. Originally, there was a restriction on each mountain to prevent the aftermath of the battle from hurting others. However, as the two fought, the restriction began to show signs of collapsing. The attacks of these two guys have probably reached the level of ancient creatures. Sure enough, the two geniuses of the Jian family live up to their reputation. They are indeed geniuses of sword principle. Sigh, why are they going up against each other now? Cut the crap. Watch carefully. The battle between the two definitely represented the real peak of the younger generation. Their attacks made many of the geniuses present blush with shame. They asked themselves, if they were the ones fighting, how many attacks could they take from Jian Yi and Jian Shi? In the fierce battle, Jian Yi did not want to risk his life to fight with Jian Shi. He knew that Jian Shi was a simpleton. Many times, Jian Yi even suspected that Jian Shi had used other things to exchange for his talent in sword principle. Because in addition to his talent in sword principle, Jian Shi was indeed an idiot in other aspects. As a genius of the Jian family, it was hard to believe that this guy could forget to eat and drink. That's right. When Jian Shi was young, he basically forgot to eat and sleep as long as he cultivated. Once, he even almost starved to death because he forgot to eat for a long time. As for the ways of the world, Jian Shi knew nothing about them. In his world, there seemed to be only swords. Apart from swords, he was not interested in anything else. Sword Maniac, why do you have to fight with me? As they fought, Jian Yi asked with a wry smile. Jian Shi did not hesitate and said bluntly, because you are very strong. Also, I want to be Shao Chun's disciple. Shao Chun was a sword cultivator and the king of Emperor Dong's palace. Although he had just joined Emperor Dong's palace, he was already famous. In addition, when Shao Chun captured the evil warrior alive, Jian Shi was actually at the scene. In that battle, the sword fanatic had witnessed with his own eyes how Shao Chun had used his absolute strength to easily crush that evil warrior who was at the same level as him. In Jian Shi's opinion, Among all the sword cultivators he had seen, Xiao Qin's sword principle was definitely the strongest. Jianqi even felt suffocated. He wanted to be Xiao Qin's disciple and learn more powerful swordsmanship. So, you want to challenge me just because of this? What else can I do? If I don't perform well, Xiao Qin won't notice me. So defeating you is my best proof. Please add, vote, recommend. Sword Master Bahuang's latest chapter. Sword Master Bahuang's full text reading address. /read/13966 Sword Master Bahuang's TXT download address. Sword Master Bahuang's mobile reading address. /read/13966 for your convenience next time. You can click on the add button below to record this battle. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. If you like Sword Master Bahuang, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 31-24. The sword maniac chose Jian Yi because he wanted to be Xiao Qin's disciple. In his opinion, Jian Yi was the best opponent. He could fully show his strength and attract Xiao Qin's attention by fighting with Jian Yi. Jian Yi was completely speechless. What was this guy thinking? This was just the beginning. No matter how good the sword maniac's performance was, what was the point if they fought here and neither of them could enter the second round? How could a loser who couldn't even get on the hidden dragon list be chosen by a king? With a wry smile, Jian Yi said helplessly, "If you want to be Xiao Qin's disciple, you have to at least get on the hidden dragon list. If we fight here, I'm afraid we can't even enter the second round. What will you do then?" Hearing Jian Yi's words, the sword maniac was stunned, as if he suddenly thought of something. He took the initiative to step back, and then looked at Jian Yi with a puzzled face. "What you said seems to make sense. Was there really nothing wrong with his brother's brain? He must have exchanged everything else for his talent in the way of the sword." He nodded silently. Then, under everyone's gaze, the sword maniac simply walked out of the arena. "Well, I'll see you on the hidden dragon list." He directly took the initiative to admit defeat without any hesitation or unwillingness. However, looking at the sword maniac's back, Jian Yi secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This guy's strength was not weak, and he was stubborn. If he insisted on fighting with Jian Yi to the death, the result would not be good. At that time, both of them might be injured, and they would not be able to enter the second round. The sword maniac would not show mercy to Jian Yi just because they were brothers. This idiot didn't care who Jian Yi was, and he would definitely go all out. Even Jian Yi was not sure if he could defeat him. In this way, the battle between the two brothers came to an end, and the crowd shook their heads in disappointment. The fierce battle between the two was very exciting, and if both of them were seriously injured at the same time, the others would have a chance. Unfortunately, it did not happen in the end. At that time, the sword maniac's wish would come true, because Xiao Qin did pay attention to him. "Interesting. Why? Do you want to take in a disciple?" Lin Yun said with a smile. "Forget it. The few brats in my family are enough to give me a headache. If I take in another disciple, wouldn't I be looking for trouble?" The sword maniac's talent in swordsmanship was indeed good, but Xiao Qin still had no intention of taking him in as a disciple, mainly because it was too troublesome. Hearing this, Lin Yun smiled and didn't say anything. He didn't have any intention of accepting a disciple. The first round of challenges continued. Battles erupted on the 999 mountains. Some of the arena defenders had already been defeated and were replaced by others. However, some of the arena defenders relied on their own strength to maintain a winning streak. He had continuously defeated those who came to challenge him and defended his mountain peak to the death. On one of the mountain peaks, Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Xiao Wan, and the others were watching the battle. Xiao Lao said excitedly, "What a good opponent." The arena defender on this mountain peak was very strong. He had already defeated 4 or 5 challengers in a row. Xiao Lao couldn't help but want to go up and challenge him. However, Xiao Yao said calmly, "It's not the right time yet. This person isn't weak. Even if you can defeat him, you will definitely consume a lot of energy. Wait a little longer." Xiao Yao wasn't as impulsive as Xiao Lao, In his way of doing things, he pursued the greatest benefit in everything he did. He used the least effort to obtain the greatest benefit. Therefore, Xiao Yao wasn't in a hurry to challenge him. He was waiting. He was waiting for the arena defenders to be exhausted before he made his move. At that time, he could use the least effort to defeat them and enter the second round. Xiao Yao was very smart, but Xiao Lao didn't care about this at all. His personality was completely different from his brother's. He wouldn't consider these things at all. In Xiao Lao's opinion, it was fine as long as he was happy. Other things weren't important at all. As long as he was strong enough, it didn't matter even if he became the arena defender at the beginning. In fact, this was indeed the case. If it wasn't for Xiao Yao holding Xiao Lao back, this guy would probably have become the arena defender at the beginning. From Xiao Yao's point of view, it was definitely the stupidest choice to become a defender right from the start. Without sufficient strength, it was akin to courting death. However, Xiao Lao, who had seen so many exciting battles, couldn't hold back anymore. The moment the battle ended, Xiao Lao rushed up to the mountain peak in a flash. Seeing this, Xiao Yao shook his head helplessly and smiled bitterly. He knew it would be like this. This idiot was still so impulsive and didn't care about the consequences at all. Haha, you're quite strong. Let me challenge you. Rushing up to the mountain peak, Xiao Lao laughed and said. Hearing this, the young man looked at Xiao Lao calmly. Although he had gone through many battles, this young man obviously still had some strength left. He wasn't weak at all. At this moment, he looked at Xiao Lao with a dignified look in his eyes. Xiao Lao's strength was stronger than anyone before, and it wasn't just by a little bit. When he was at his peak, this person didn't even dare to guarantee that he could win, let alone now. However, in the face of a challenge, he couldn't reject it. The young man tightened his grip on the long spear in his hand and said coldly, Good timing. The two of them attacked at the same time, and both of them attacked each other. Xiao Luo's first attack was a killer move, and he did not hold back at all. Emperor's Sword. With a low roar, he slashed out with his sword. The terrifying blade instantly rushed towards the young man, not giving him any time to react. As Xiao Qian's son, Xiao Lao naturally inherited Xiao Qian's legacy perfectly. Every move of his had Xiao Qian's shadow. With the rise of Xiao Qian, the Xiao family now had their own unique training process. Xiao Lao and Xiao Yao had been trained by Xiao Qian since they were young. As soon as they attacked, they could feel the terrifying power. The spectators couldn't help but be stunned. This person was very strong. Xiao Yao, do you think Xiao Lao can win? Xiao Wan, who was watching the battle with the crowd, asked softly. He seemed to be worried. In response, Xiao Yao replied calmly. He can definitely win, but this idiot went up too early. Based on this battle alone, Xiao Yao didn't doubt that Xiao Lao could win. Even if that person was at his peak, he wouldn't be a match for Xiao Lao. As his brother, Xiao Yao was very clear about Xiao Lao's strength. Although he didn't have a brain, his cultivation talent was really strong. Even as his brother, he couldn't help but admire Xiao Lao's cultivation talent. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that putting everything else aside, in terms of combat strength and talent, Xiao Lao was the closest to his father. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 31:25. Xiao Lao fought to his heart's content. He had never met such an opponent in the land of 10,000 stars. To be able to fight him to a standstill, this person's strength was indeed very strong. Even Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and the other challengers noticed his battle. Qing Lin said with a smile, Brother Xiao Chun, your kid is quite strong. Not bad, but isn't it a little too early for him to fight now? Haha, I think this kid is good. If he has the strength, why does it matter when he fights? Everyone was talking one after another, but most of the words were praises for Xiao Luo. Xiao Qin smiled and did not reply. How could he, as his father, not know Xiao Lao's character? This guy was still so impulsive. But that was fine. He had not changed after so many years. Xiao Qin also knew that this was probably Xiao Luo's nature. He could only hope that this kid would be able to persevere until the end and not fail miserably because of his carelessness. The battle was still in full swing. Xiao Lao was getting more and more excited, while his opponent's face was getting uglier and uglier. This guy's strength was not even close to his own, and he seemed to be suppressing his strength. It felt as if he was deliberately asking for a fight, suppressing his own strength so that he could have a more enjoyable fight with him. During the Hidden Dragon leaderboard, there was actually someone who dared to suppress his strength. Was he not afraid that he would exhaust himself? He was definitely a freak, but that was the truth. Up until now, this person had increased his combat strength more than once. However, every time he increased his combat strength, Xiao Lao would also increase his combat strength. It was as if his combat strength was the same as his. If he was strong, he would be strong. If he was weak, he would be weak. This made him very depressed. If it was any other time, perhaps he would fight with all his might. However, this was the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. He could not be careless. If he fought with Xiao Lao for too long, it would cause him to exhaust himself. Then, it would be troublesome later on. Now, his main goal was to enter the second round. He did not care about temporary gains and losses. The young man wasn't the only one who saw through Xiao Lao's thoughts. Xiao Yao couldn't help but laugh and scold him. This guy actually suppressed his strength on purpose. Seriously, Xiao Yao didn't know what to say anymore. If you want to attack, just attack. Why did you suppress your strength? Aren't you courting death? Do you want to fight so badly? Xiao Wan, Lin Feng, Lin Shui, and the others smiled wryly when they heard Xiao Yao. However, just when everyone thought that the battle would not end in a short period of time, they saw that the young man who was fighting Xiao Lao actually took the initiative to retreat. I admit defeat. Without any hesitation, he chose to admit defeat. He knew very well that there was no point in fighting Xiao Lao to the death here. Even if he admitted defeat, he could go to another mountain to challenge him. It was better than being in a deadlock with him here. Anyway, as long as he could enter the second round, it would be fine. It was a wise choice. However, Xiao Lao was not happy about it. It was rare to find a good opponent. Moreover, he had a good fight just now. At this critical juncture, you admit defeat just because you said so? No, let's continue. He immediately shouted with a face full of displeasure. However, the young man ignored him and jumped down from the arena. After successfully defeating his opponent, Xiao Lao became the defender. Seeing this, Xiao Yao smiled and said, "Let's go. Let's let this guy play by himself. It's about time for us to make our move." The first stage of the written examination was almost halfway through. Xiao Yao and the others were ready to make their move. As time passed, the strength of many young geniuses was basically revealed. Those who were average in strength almost all ended in failure. As for those who were strong, almost all of them occupied their own mountains. Although they were all young geniuses of the eastern region, there was still a gap in strength. This stage was actually to eliminate those who were average in strength. After all, the Hidden Dragon list represented the highest honor of the younger generation in the eastern region. It did not allow the slightest bit of incompetence to make up the numbers. Those who could be on the Hidden Dragon list had to have real strength. Even the sons of kings like Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Lin Feng, and Lin Shui had to have real strength. There were no privileges to participate in the Hidden Dragon list. They could only rely on their own strength to fight for it. Xiao Yao and the others made their moves at the last moment. They had already seized their own mountains. Even Dongfang Lin was the same. For a long time, Dongfang Lin had been cultivating with Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, and the others, so her strength was not weak. Everyone seemed to be able to pass the first round steadily. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun both nodded in satisfaction at this result. It was not bad. However, when he inadvertently glanced at the mountain where Xiao Lao was, Xiao Chen's expression instantly became speechless. He saw that this guy was already covered in injuries at this time. He was fighting fiercely with a young man holding a big knife. That guy is not simple. Among the many young geniuses in the eastern region, he can be ranked in the top. Not knowing the identity of the young man, Qing Lin explained from the side. He was indeed not weak. At least, he was on par with Xiao Lao. It was no wonder that Xiao Lao's battle was so difficult. However, looking at him, He seemed to be extremely excited. He did not realize his current situation at all and was not worried about whether he could enter the second round. Chapter 31:26. The Sword Maniac was undoubtedly a hardcore fan of Shao Chun. Ever since he witnessed the battle between Shao Chun and the evil warrior up close, the Sword Maniac had always regarded Shao Chun as his goal. Although he had never come into contact with Shao Chun, he had definitely studied Shao Chun's swordsmanship in detail. And now, Shao Lao's swordsmanship was full of Shao Chun's shadow. How could the Sword Maniac not be shocked? He stared intently at the battle on the mountain peak. At the same time, on the other side, Jin Yi, who had been occupying a mountain peak, saw the Sword Maniac actually give up his mountain peak. The corner of his mouth could not help but twitch. This idiot, there was very little time left before the end of the first round, but this guy actually gave up his mountain peak just to watch the battle. Even if you are strong, you can't be so reckless. Are you really not worried that you won't be able to enter the second round? The Sword Maniac's actions were indeed difficult for normal people to understand. He was completely capricious and did whatever he wanted to do. Regardless of the Sword Maniac's matters, on the mountain peak, the battle between Shao Lao and the young man had entered a white-hot stage. Both of them were very strong, and there was no sign of victory or defeat at all. To be honest, regardless of Shao Lao or the young man, with their strength, both of them could easily enter the second round. However, the two of them just had to meet in the first round. If things continued to develop like this, the two of them would probably end up in a lose-lose situation. However, this kind of battle was very enjoyable for everyone to watch. Just when everyone thought that the battle would continue, the young man who challenged them suddenly stepped back and said calmly, "Don't worry, I won't accept your challenge. You're very strong. Let's leave our battle to the second round." After saying that, the young man did not give Shao Lao a chance to reply at all. He turned around and left directly. "Hey, we were having a good time. Why are you leaving?" In response, Shao Lao said with a face of displeasure. It was rare for him to be excited, but this guy actually left just like that. This made Shao Lao very unhappy. Unfortunately, in the face of Shao Lao's angry roar, the young man did not seem to care at all. He left without looking back. As the young man left, Sword Maniac, who was watching the battle, also turned around and left. "Are we both surnamed Shao? I want to fight you in the second round." Shao Lao and Shao Yao. Both of their surnames were Shao. The Sword Maniac had obviously guessed something and was looking forward to fighting Shao Lao. There was only one day left before the end of the first round, and almost everyone had completed their battle. As for the Sky Prides, after a series of battles, their strengths and weaknesses had already been determined. Basically, the top geniuses all occupied their own mountain peaks. No one was stupid. They knew very well that the first round was not the time to risk their lives. Therefore, most of the top prodigies had deliberately avoided the first round of contact. Even if they fought out of curiosity, they would only test each other's strength and then stop. They did not show their true strength. It's basically confirmed. On the high platform, Shao Chun and the other experts of Emperor Dong's palace were chatting casually. At this point in the battle, it was basically confirmed that there would not be many changes. After all, those who were not strong enough would not be able to change the final result no matter how hard they tried. It was worth mentioning that none of the Sky Prides from the Field of 1,000 Stars had passed the first round. Of course, Shao Lao, Shao Yao, Lin Feng, and Lin Shui did not count. This also proved the difference between the Sky Prides from the Field of 1,000 Stars and those from other realms. As the experts who led the team this time, Mo, He, and Ancestor He were naturally disappointed by this result. However, they could not change anything. This was a real gap in strength. It was not something that could be made up by other means. Looking at Mo, He, and Ancestor He, Shao Chun shook his head. The Field of 1,000 Stars had just come into contact with the East region. Naturally, it would lag behind the other realms. However, as time passed, this gap would continue to shrink. Perhaps after a few more rounds of the Hidden Dragon ranking, the young sky prides of the Field of 1,000 Stars would be able to catch up with those from other realms. A day passed quickly. In the end, the 999 sky prides who passed the second round were finally confirmed. Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Xiao Wan, Lin Feng, Lin Shui, and Dongfang Lin had all passed. This was a good thing. The only thing that made Xiao Chun speechless was that Xiao Lao had been injured because he had been too excited. He did not know what to say. It could have been completely avoided, but Xiao Lao was so impulsive. Or it could be said that he was extremely combative. He had made things very complicated when he could have passed easily. Xiao Yao had taught him a lot about this. However, as for Xiao Yao's lesson, Xiao Lao naturally turned a deaf ear. In his words, his brother was too cautious. After the first round ended, everyone had 3 days to rest. Then they would begin the second round of the written test. This was the real battle to determine the Hidden Dragon ranking. Out of the 999 Sky Prides, only the top 100 would be left. And these 100 people would be ranked on the Hidden Dragon ranking. One could imagine that the battles in the second round would definitely be much more intense than the first round. It could even be said that the written test was completely different. Everyone who had been hiding their strength before would probably not hide it in the second round. After all, this was related to the Hidden Dragon ranking. Moreover, after passing the first round of elimination, those who could enter the second round were definitely not ordinary people. Everyone had their own strength and confidence. During the break, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun found Mo He, Ancestor He, and a few others from the Field of 1,000 Stars. They had all been eliminated. It was obvious that everyone was very depressed. Before coming, they could be said to be full of confidence. They felt that it was an exciting thing to be able to fight with the young sky prides of other realms. However, after the real battle, they realized that there was a huge gap between them and these sky prides. It was not an exaggeration to say that these little fellows from the Field of 1,000 Stars were almost at the bottom of the list. It was very difficult for them to compete with the sky prides of other realms. A defeat is nothing. Moreover, the situation in the Field of 1,000 Stars is special. You guys have only been in contact with the East region for a few years and have not even gone out to train. This is where you guys have truly failed. Previously, you guys did not have the opportunity to see the East region. However, now that the Field of 1,000 Stars and the East region are completely connected, you guys will have plenty of opportunities to go to various places in the East region to train in the future. I believe that with the passage of time, you guys will definitely grow quickly. Looking at these little fellows who were all dejected, Xiao Chen smiled and comforted them. Please collect, vote, recommend. Since he was unwilling, they did not force him. Since it was rare for them to meet, they naturally had a good drink. As for Xiao Yao, Xiao Luo, and the others, after a night of rest, Xiao Luo's injuries were no longer serious. In fact, his injuries were not serious to begin with. Xiao Xiao, of course. Xiao Lao's recovery speed was at least twice as fast as Xiao Yao's. Xiao Chun didn't know what was going on. They all had the same father, but there was a huge difference in their physiques. Xiao Luo was full of energy again. Sitting in the courtyard, he complained with nothing to do. Why do we have to wait 3 days? Why don't we just start the second round? Do you think everyone is as abnormal as you? Xiao Yao, Xiao Wan, Lin Feng, Lin Shui, and the others all said angrily. This guy just fought a big battle yesterday, and today he couldn't stay idle. Just as they were talking, a figure suddenly appeared outside the courtyard. Is Brother Xiao Lao here? Someone came to look for Xiao Lao. Xiao Lao was puzzled when he saw everyone looking at him. I don't know anyone. Xiao Lao didn't have many friends here. Moreover, if Xiao Lao knew someone, Xiao Yao knew Xiao Yao. Xiao Yao and Xiao Lao grew up together. They basically knew each other's friends. Xiao Yao didn't know who the visitor was, but he still invited him in. When Jian Yi and Jian Qi saw this, everyone looked at each other in dismay. Everyone had heard of these two brothers. After all, they were very famous among the younger generation in the Eastern region. Greetings, everyone. I'm Jian Yi. And this is my younger brother, Sword Maniac. We are here to visit today. Please forgive us for disturbing you. Jian Yi introduced himself politely. Xiao Yao also cupped his hands in greeting. Brother Jian Yi, you're too polite. They exchanged a few pleasantries. However, Sword Maniac kept staring at Xiao Lao as soon as he entered, which made Xiao Lao very uncomfortable. After all, no one would feel good being stared at by a man for no reason. Why do you keep staring at me? Xiao Lao couldn't stand it anymore and asked Sword Maniac unhappily. Before Jian Yi could explain, Sword Maniac said indifferently, "What's your relationship with Senior Xiao Chun?" The main reason why the two brothers came to visit was that Sword Maniac was curious about Xiao Lao's identity. This guy was obviously not good at chatting, so he asked what was on his mind as soon as he opened his mouth. It was a little rude, but this was Sword Maniac's character. He could practice swordsmanship, but he knew nothing about the ways of the world. In response, Jian Yi smiled bitterly. He had known that this would happen. Fortunately, Xiao Lao was a careless person. He didn't care about Sword Maniac's attitude and said straightforwardly, "Xiao Chun is my father." "What's the matter?" "Xiao Chen's son." Hearing this, Sword Maniac's eyes flashed, and he stood up directly. "I see." Chapter 31:28. The sword fanatic challenged Xiao Lao, and Xiao Lao was not afraid at all. These two guys, one dared to say it, and the other dared to accept it. Although the first round was over, there were only 3 days left. After 3 days, they would face the next round of competition. Compared to the first round, the second round was obviously more intense. However, Xiao Lao and the sword fanatic still did not care about it. These two battle maniacs did not care at all, or rather, they did not even think about it. If they were injured, what would happen to them in the next round? Not only Jian, but even Xiao Yao was speechless and could not help but scold them. "Nonsense. This has nothing to do with me. He challenged me first. Since he has come to challenge me, I can't just reject him," Xiao Lao said with an aggrieved look. However, it was obviously impossible for them to fight now. Xiao Yao and Jian Yi would not agree to it. How could they not know what was more important in the current situation? The Hidden Dragon List competition was just around the corner. It was definitely not worth it to get injured at this time. If you want to fight, you can fight when the next round starts. Not today, Xiao Yao said directly without any hesitation. Seeing this, Jian Yi also agreed. "Yes, when the next round starts, you will have a chance to fight." Xiao Lao and the sword fanatic were obviously very dissatisfied with this. Both of them were freaks who only thought about fighting and cultivation. It was rare to meet an opponent they liked, but they could not fight. This made them very uncomfortable. Seeing that the sword fanatic still did not give up, Jian Yi said helplessly, "It's meaningless for you to defeat him here. Senior Xiao Chun isn't here, so he won't see the battle between the two of you. You won't have a chance to show off at all. Senior Xiao Chun won't know how many times you've won. When this round of competition starts, you can fight Xiao Lao openly in the arena. I'm sure Senior Xiao Chun will be watching." Faced with the sword maniac's expression, Jian Yi had no choice but to spout some nonsense. Other than sword Dao and fighting, what this sword fanatic cared about the most was becoming Xiao Chen's disciple. As expected, this move was indeed effective. The sword maniac's expression changed slightly. As someone who knew the sword fanatic very well, Jian Yi smiled bitterly when he saw this scene. This guy really didn't know what to say. No matter how much he tried to persuade him, it was useless. Just calling him Senior Xiao Chun actually changed his mind. It was obvious that he was persuaded by Jian Yi. He glanced at Xiao Luo, then stood up and said, "Then let's save it for the next round." After saying that, the sword maniac turned around and left without waiting for anyone to reply. Since he didn't want to fight, there was no point for him to stay here. If he had time, he would rather cultivate. They only needed a few people to work together, and they could perfectly suppress everything and eliminate those who were weaker. "Lie down," The second round is your limit. If you don't have the power, then don't covet something that doesn't belong to you. Not just anyone can get on the hidden dragon rank. It looked extremely easy. Ordinary geniuses were eliminated one after another. Even if some of them could withstand a few attacks from these heaven's favorites, it didn't change anything. In the end, they still couldn't avoid defeat. Like the others, Xiao Yao, Xiao Lao, Lin Feng, and the others were also besieged at this time. There were a lot of people, about 100 of them. These 100 people were obviously planned in advance. They wanted to defeat 1 or 2 top sky prides so that they could have a chance to get on the hidden dragon rank. Surrounded by so many people, Xiao Yao smiled bitterly and helplessly. It seems that we have to team up for the time being. Hearing Xiao Yao's words, Jin nodded. This guy actually chose to team up with Xiao Yao. Obviously, Jin had thought about this long ago. Anyway, in this round, the top sky prides needed to team up temporarily. Otherwise, they might be eliminated by the human wave tactic. Therefore, instead of teaming up with other unfamiliar people, Jin was more willing to team up with Xiao Yao and the others. In addition, Xiao Yao and the others weren't weak either. Even among the top sky prides, they were among the best. Teaming up with them would only bring them benefits and no harm. Xiao Yao didn't have any objection to Jin Yi's request to team up. Anyway, they had the same goal. Then let's do it. Don't waste time, Lin Feng said indifferently. Obviously, he didn't take these people seriously at all. However, as soon as he finished speaking, an indifferent voice came from the side. No, I'll do it. I don't like teaming up with others. They turned around and saw that the person who spoke was Sword Maniac. Everyone had teamed up, but Sword Maniac insisted on doing it alone. It seemed that, in his opinion, teaming up was a despicable method. Even in the face of so many geniuses, Sword Maniac believed that he had nothing to fear at all with his sword alone. Seeing that it was Sword Maniac, the others didn't say anything. They didn't feel strange either. Anyway, this guy's character was like this. They were used to it. Jin, he was even more speechless. This guy is here again. Ignoring the others' gazes, Sword Maniac slowly stepped forward and slowly unsheathed his long sword. Before he even made a move, the surrounding crowd involuntarily sucked in a breath of cold air. It's Sword Maniac. Among the young people of the eastern region, Sword Maniac was quite famous. Even if they hadn't seen him before, they had definitely heard of his name. The Sword Maniac even had the title of the number 1 swordsman among the younger generation, and many people believed in him. Because of that, even though there were over 100 people around, when they saw Sword Maniac, they couldn't help but feel nervous. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. With such a reputation, he couldn't be weak. Let's fight together. Let me fight against you. When Sword Maniac finished talking, he took a step forwards and disappeared. Then, a sword light flashed and the crowd was in chaos. Someone couldn't help but shout when Sword Maniac attacked. There are so many of us, and he's alone. If we all attack together, I won't be able to defeat all of us, shouted someone loudly. The battle immediately started. Sword Maniac was fighting fiercely. Xiao Yao and the others hadn't even started fighting yet, but Xiao Lao had already come out. He had an excited smile on his face. Haha, interesting. My hands are itching too. Big brother, you don't have to fight. Let me do it. With that, Xiao Lao also rushed forward. Seeing Sword Maniac attack, how could Xiao Lao, a battle maniac, hold back? Seeing Xiao Lao rushing into the crowd, Xiao Yao twitched the corner of her mouth. These two guys didn't think about any plan at all. They were completely casual. Please add, vote, recommend. After sheathing his sword, he retreated to the side. Naturally, no one dared to provoke Xiao Yao and the others after plastic surgery. In the following period of time, the few of them patiently waited for the competition to end. Just as expected, although these ordinary sky prides were weaker than the elite sky prides, they couldn't be underestimated. Especially after they joined forces, several elite sky prides had already been eliminated. This was the consequence of underestimating others. However, the number of people who were eliminated was in the minority. Although the number of peerless geniuses was small, the number of people who were eliminated was small. Although there were fewer elite sky prides, they weren't fools. As time passed, the elite sky prides took the initiative. They began to clear out the ordinary sky prides. There was no time limit for this round. It would only end when there were only 100 people left in the arena. Now, there were about 200 people left in the arena. The elite sky prides naturally targeted the ordinary sky prides. At this stage, the ordinary sky prides basically had no ability to resist. They only wished that they were lucky and could last longer than the others. When there were exactly 100 people left, they would be able to enter the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Since they were going to be eliminated anyway, the longer they could last, the better it would be for them. Everyone, let's get this over with as soon as possible. The elite sky prides looked at each other and started to clear out the opposing sky prides at the same time. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations.